Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person, never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee? President Trump's life has changed a lot in the last couple of years, but one thing that remains consistent is love for a good nickname.
What happened to Mini Mike? Where's he? Mini Mike, I've had him up to here. Sleepy Joe has no idea what he's even talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage, please. I don't think the guy's got a chance. Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's got it. I don't know. I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. Crying Chuck. I don't want to say Crazy Nancy because if I say that, you're going to say it's a copy of Crazy Bernie, and that's no good. Who that yet? Alfred E. Newman. You know, I thought Pocahontas was gone, left in embers. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Did you ever hear Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. Got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. But Nancy Pelosi, I call her Nervous Nancy. Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton said to Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary, do you think he calls her Crooked Hillary, Mike?
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth or your teeth are discolored or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
I think
lawmakers and economists on both sides of the aisle have said that reopening the country by Easter is not a good idea.
just so you understand. Are you ready?
Oh, this is going to be good.
I think there are certain people that would like it not to open so quickly.
Boom. Roasted.
I think there are certain people that would like it to do financially poorly because they think that would be very good as far as defeating me at the polls.
Boom. Roasted.
There are people in your profession that would like that to happen.
Boom, roasted.
There are people in your profession that write fake news. You do.
Boom, roasted.
She does.
Boom, roasted.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Yeah, he went after the news media, making the point that, we'd like to see him do poorly in the election. And so we're rooting against him in this crisis. And that's so ridiculous.
It's some 60% approval ratings for the way he's handling this crisis. The briefings are working for the president. No matter what he says, people seem to be seeing him as a leader.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Somebody who's making $12 an hour with the $600 on top of their regular unemployment check might be making a few bucks more for 4 months. Oh my word! Will the universe survive?
We want to make sure that you are whole in unemployment, not that you get a raise because of the coronavirus. And so that would be unfair to all Americans who are working. And we believe in this country in the dignity in work.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Important legislation. We're very proud of the product. We did jujitsu on it. The government production office, defense production office, testing, mask, ventilators.
Marsha.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Madam Speaker. You don't look a day over 95, and you're 80 years young today. Oh, gosh. Seems like it was only yesterday. The Paris hadn't yet fallen to the Nazis back when Nancy Pelosi was born. Happy birthday, Nancy. And now her birthday present is denying all of the affected American laid off workers, 3.3 million last week laid off. No relief for you because Nancy Pelosi wants to get voter harvesting through, or she did. She gave up on it, I guess. Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. So the bill finally did go through the Senate last night, $2.2 trillion or whatever. It's, of course, it's a boondoggle. And what are you going to do, though? You have to do something. And I'm already seeing the tweets, the texts come in for 770. Trump lost my vote with the Kung Flu bailout. So sad. Yeah, I know, and people are angry. And I heard Mark Levin driving home last night. He's all worked up about the $25 million for the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington D.C. And I agree. I agree that they didn't need a bailout, but Nancy for her 80th wanted $35 million, and I mean, I hate to sound like Everett Dirksen, he said $1 million here, $1 million there. Pretty soon you're talking real money. But in the context of $2 trillion, is $25 million that great? I know it's bad. It's bad. Actually, I think the Corporation for Public Broadcasting bailout or National Panhandling Radio, whatever the hell it is, they gave them a bunch of money. There was worse stuff in there, even the Kennedy Arts bailout. And it's like what they say, you don't want to see them make sausage, you don't want to see them make legislation. That's the way it is. And the fact is, that's a terrible number today. 3.3 million people filing for unemployment. Just in the state of Massachusetts, it's 20 times higher than the previous record for unemployment claims in a single week. 20 times. And you see what's already happening. We've been talking about it for a while. The fact that all these businesses are not going to be able to pay the rent. They're already negotiating down their lease payments for April 1st. Cheesecake Factory, which is a popular place. They have like 300 locations nationwide. They're all over. You know the place. I had the sleeve operation. I don't really think of it as kindly as I used to when I could eat 5,000 calories per meal. But it's a lot of people go there, They've already told they announced it today. They had a press release. They said we're not going to be able to pay our monthly leases. Almost 300 restaurants. 844-500-4242 207 $25 million. You could give everyone in the country $1 million with that. You could, if you were from the New York Times or MSNBC, you could give everybody $1 million. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. I've been trying to give people good news every day, just coming right out of the box. And I do have some good news that I did want to share with you. The good news comes from Costco, and I'm looking through my stack of stuff here to see. Okay, Costco just told hoarders what they can do with all their excess toilet paper. And as you know, there have been all these runs on toilet paper and all this. So Costco has apparently posted a large sign in some of its stores. I'm holding it up right now for the social media here. Returns, Costco wholesale, returns will not be accepted on toilet paper, paper towels, sanitizing wipes, water, rice, Lysol. Thank you for your understanding. Let's hear it for Costco. All right, that's some of the good news today, and the virtue signaling from the mainstream media, as always, continues apace here. And here, this is from Joe Lockhart. Remember him? He was the press secretary for Bill Clinton. Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton. You recall those wonderful days. So then he became the flack for the National Football League during the Colin Kaepernick disaster, and he did such a bang up job that I think he got booted out of by Roger Goodell out of the NFL. So now he's just on CNN. They all go to CNN. Andrew Gillum, Joe Lockhart, all the losers go there. Brennan or Clapper, I forget which one of those guys is on there. But so he tweets out yesterday. Listen to this. This is just so classic deep state. Another day and another day. What is he? What's this? Isn't once another day enough? Another day and another day, real Donald Trump has not left the White House to see firsthand what's going on in the country. No visit to see first responders or ER docs or nurses. No visit to a small business that's repurposing to help the cause. King in the ivory tower. Now, can you imagine what he would be tweeting if Donald Trump had decided to leave the ivory tower / White House to go down to visit some first responders or ER docs and nurses or small businesses? President stops those on the front line in the fight to end this pandemic. It's all about Bad Man Orange. How dare he? This is what I mean about how he can't win. If he doesn't go out, he's in the ivory tower. If he goes out, it's all about him, and he doesn't care. 844-500-4242. 603 says, we have to stay home, but New Yorkers can freely invade. Well, yes, they can. They're invading Florida more than they're invading New Hampshire, though, if that makes you feel any better, 603. There are a lot more of them coming down here for obvious reasons, because it's warmer here. There was no snow here yesterday as opposed to New Hampshire. 844-500-4242. And the weird stuff that's going on around here. Did you see the story about this? Woman coughs on $35,000 worth of goods at Pennsylvania grocery store in very twisted prank. what is going through her mind? I would say that woman needs to go to prison. Forget jail. Forget making restitution. She needs to do about 3 years, hard time in a jail cell for doing something as obnoxious, as ridiculous as that. The woman visited a Hanover Township location of the small grocery chain Garrity Supermarket between 2:20 p.m. yesterday and coughed on fresh produce, a small section of the bakery, meat case, and grocery items, said the store's co-owner. The woman is also said to be a chronic problem in the community. Chronic problem. Now we have to have empathy for her. You think that too? That's a possibility as well. I'm guessing, though, that it's more likely she just didn't take her meds. It could be a combination of no meds and adult beverages. Whatever it is, again, she needs to do some serious time. $35,000 worth of produce, and various other foodstuffs down the tubes. 844-500-4242. 603 says, in his endless pressers, Governor Cuomo stated state government leaders need to address New York troubles. He was warned years ago of the critical shortage of ventilators. Yeah, that's come out in the last few days that he was urged to get ventilators, I believe, in 2015, and he said no. And he also didn't use the Medicaid money that was coming in after the passage of Obamacare. He did not use that wisely. And that's why there is, according to the Wall Street Journal, there's a chronic shortage of beds in hospitals across New York State. But of course, he takes no responsibility for that. He is not only a Democrat, but he is an erstwhile in-law of the Kennedy family. So he has 2 or 3 different levels of media immunity. 844. That's what he's counting on. 844-500-4242. I'm with Joe Biden in this fight, though. Let's keep Biden in the fight. Forget baby Cuomo. We need Joe. Where's Joe today? Is Joe anywhere to be seen? Guess Joe came out yesterday and said he was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, like the fake Indian. No, he wasn't. No. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. It's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by IPL and Skin Wellness of Dover, New Hampshire. For all of your permanent hair removal, skin irregularity, and enhancement treatments by certified estheticians, go to IPLandskinwellness.com.
At Subaru of New England, we believe in vehicles that families can trust. A brand new 2020 Subaru Forester starts at only $24,495 with 0% financing for up to 63 months. With your Subaru purchase, get 90-day payment deferral from our participating retailers. It takes love and community to make a difference. Our New England Subaru retailers are committed to being a resource for our members. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
Hey, business owners and marketing professionals, would you like to advertise on the Howie Carr Radio Network? Howie's show reaches all across New England. And you know who's listening? Your next customer, client, or business lead. If you're interested in advertising on the Howie Carr Show, call 800-227-7300. That's 800-227-7300. You're listening to Howie, and so is your next customer. Call 800-227-7300 right now.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side?
It's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats.
I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how it worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money. And my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's why I'm saying I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And, my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
I stand here as someone who has had confirmed orders for millions of pieces of gear evaporate in front of us. And I can't tell you how frustrating it is. We now have other orders that are outstanding that are probably quote unquote confirmed, but we've literally gotten to the point where our basic position is until the thing shows up here in the Commonwealth of Mass, it doesn't exist. But I'm telling you, people are spending hours and hours and hours trying to get this stuff here.
The governor has announced new regulations today that you can no longer grope people on flights into Logan Airport, grope women, unless you're wearing sanitary gloves.
What's the difference? There's nobody there anyway.
But nominally, the flights are still coming in, right? Some of them anyway, very few perhaps, but they're still coming in. And when are the layoffs? The recurring question, when do the layoffs begin? At the Massachusetts Port Authority, at the University of Massachusetts, in the state court system. No, they're hiring. They're still hiring hacks for lifetime jobs, $155,000 a year yesterday. In a closed meeting, they refused to allow a Herald reporter to even take part in the conference call where they approved the lifetime hiring of a hack who was married to a state rep who was himself the son of a state senator.
And to what Charlie Baker just said, didn't Trump say the other day that, hey, yeah, we know states are bidding on this stuff, but we're trying to bid on this stuff too. So if you're trying to get something, just give us a call. We'll let you have it. Is Baker not calling Trump?
No, he's very disappointed in the way that Trump is handling this. He's so disappointed. And you know what else he's disappointed in, Taylor? He can't ram through the 26-cent doubling of the state gasoline tax while this is going on. He has to settle for a few crumbs consolation prizes, like giving this $155,000 a year lifetime appointment as clerk magistrate to a second generation hack up in Essex County, Newburyport District Court. Ugh. Today's poll question is brought to you by Boomer Naturals. We sold out of the cheap bastard deal fast yesterday, but you can still save big today. For select doctor-formulated natural CB5 products that you purchase, you will receive 2 4-ounce hand sanitizers and a $20 value mini pain relief roll-on free. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Boomer banner at the top of the page right now to take advantage of this great offer. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If you could listen to only one of these songs for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Imagine by John Lennon or We Are World by USA for Africa, which was the official name of the group.
And the third option is not Suicide, because that would have won probably with 70% of the vote. So
we could have chosen the song Suicide is Painless.
I'm going to vote for Imagine as being slightly, marginally less horrible than We Are the World.
Both equally obnoxious, I think. 65% say they'd rather listen to Imagine.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm with the majority at this point anyway. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thanks, Howie. You know, as I'm driving around day after day after day, I see tons of cars, trucks on the road, and this is after the rush hour. I see stores, people going in and out of supermarkets, just as business as usual. You wouldn't think there was a shutdown except in Boston. So the only thing that's shut down is people going to work. And we're going to pay for these bailouts a long, long time. And I don't see what the necessity is. There's been 1,000 people, 1,000 people who have died across. Who I believe.
I know, Arthur. I mean, everybody. You're not supposed to say this kind of stuff, but everybody's thinking the same thing you're thinking, Arthur. Believe me. I'm Howie Carr.
Buying a new car, truck, or SUV should not be complicated or confusing. If you see someone advertising a price that is too good to be true, it probably is. At Banks & Concord, you will always get the lowest price. That's a promise. With over 2,000 vehicles in stock in one location, Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC will save you time and money. Browse our huge selection in person or online at banksautos.com. Our knowledgeable online sales team will make sure you are truly getting the lowest price, and they can take care of most of the details before you even walk through the door, saving you time and money. Right now, qualified buyers will be eligible for an incredible 0% financing for up to 84 months, combined with a 120-day deferred payment on select vehicles. Come take advantage of this great financing option on a new 2020 Chevy Equinox, Trax, or even a beautiful new Chevy Silverado 1500. Interest-free financing is also available right now on all 2019 models for qualified buyers. Chevrolet, find new roads, banksautos.com. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Always the lowest price. That's a promise.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Mazie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham.
Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
I think the noose is closing, and, Giuliani is like a loose
Taylor.
cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
I'm here with Dr. Oh, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation. If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
You know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? You know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals. And Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl. When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately. The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. I gave Grace the choice whether she wanted to do the Pelosi tribute, introduce it here, the Pelosi birthday memorial celebration during her own news segment next hour on Newsmax, or whether she wanted. We have probably a bigger 3 o'clock hour during this, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, than we do normally, because there are fewer people at jobs, honestly. So I'm glad that Grace said she would be willing to let me play it now. You want to say anything, Grace, before we play the Pelosi happy birthday tribute?
I just want to say happy birthday, Madam Speaker.
All right. That means a lot to her, I'm sure. Okay, let's play it.
Happy birthday, you sly old fox.
Thank you. I'm not celebrating, though, until I can hug my grandbabies. I was waiting for that day. Hopefully that will be soon, but thank you.
Speech! 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 Speech!
Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity.
Hey, isn't it her birthday today?
What's that about? Why would they put it at the mercy of Dennis Nunes, who doesn't even read the memo, and Colin Kaepernick doing what he did? I pray for the President of the United States.
Make a wish and blow out the candles.
I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention. The Constitution does not say that a person can yell wolf in a crowded theater. I don't have time to follow people's tweets, Twitters, whatever, tweets. So children are scared. You're scaring the children of America. I mean, I just can't handle it. So every day I eat nails for breakfast, don a suit of armor, and go out there and fight for the kids. I don't hate anyone. I was raised in a way that is a heart full of love, and always prayed for the president. People all over the place are calling me, writing on the airports here, there. Thank you for saving America.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, for saving America. And it's a darn shame that all those wonderful provisions about affirmative action on corporate boards and voter harvesting fraud in California expanded nationwide, same-day voter registration, all the rest of that BS. It's a shame it didn't make it. That would have been the perfect birthday tribute to you. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. For those of you in Canada listening to us, have you been wondering why you have a shortage of basic medical equipment like face masks? Has this been covered on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation? This was a press release from Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Blackface, a couple of weeks ago, or February, I should say, February 4th. Canada, is working with its partners and international organizations to control the spread of the novel coronavirus. This is vital to helping those affected and protecting the health and safety of people around the world, To support China's ongoing response to the outbreak, Canada has deployed approximately 16 tons, that's 32,000 pounds, of personal protective equipment, such as clothing, face shields, masks, goggles, and gloves to the country since February 4th, 2020. This equipment has been provided in collaboration with the Canadian Red Cross and the Red Cross Society of China. I'm sure the Chinese are very grateful to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and Justin Trudeau and everybody else in the great Northland for that nice gift to the communist butchers of Peking or Beiping, however you pronounce it. 844-500-4242. One more thing here. You want some Joe Biden sound from today? This is Joe Biden's latest misremembering of history. This is the guy who was the first white student at Delaware State. He played Division I football at the University of Delaware. He was arrested with Nelson Mandela, and this is the latest in Joe Biden's personal history. Cut 4.
By the way, I'm in a much different position when I got out of teaching. When I got out of the United States, and instead of taking a Wall Street job, and they're not bad, I'm not making them bad, but instead of doing the things that I never did before, I figured I wasn't going to change all these years of what I was comfortable doing. So I became a teacher. I became a professor.
He became a teacher. Nobody remembers him teaching a course. Do you know why? Because he never taught any courses. He got one of those honorary professor's jobs. It's kind of like an honorary degree. I became a teacher. I didn't go to Wall Street. I just made $17 million. That's what he made his first year out as vice president. He walked around for 36 years, Brian. I don't own any stock. I'm the only senator in the world's greatest deliberative body that owns no stock, no equities. And he made $17 million his first year out of office. But he was a teacher. A teacher.
Wait, did he forget that he was vice president after he got out of the Senate? That was the first job.
Yeah, well, as John Nance Garner, FDR's first vice president, said, being vice president isn't worth a pitcher of warm spit. Only he didn't say spit. He said something else. Mr. Garcia, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Hello, how you doing?
Good.
I want to ask you a question because we have 7 billion people in the world. Right now, we have 500,000 people. Why shutting down? And also, New York, he's hyping the number. I don't know if it's fake number for the corona. I want to make sure. I live in New Jersey, and he's hiking the number. I don't know what the hell going on.
I know. I know they did hike the number. There apparently there's this left-wing group, and they call it COVID Act Now. and they're putting out these phony numbers. Their numbers have already been debunked. They started this last month, and they said that hundreds of people in all these different states would be hospitalized by now, and the numbers aren't adding up. They're just fake news. But it's worse than that. Those numbers are just put out over the internet, and they get picked up occasionally by a stupid politician or a stupid local newscaster. But sometimes you have people going on national TV and just flat out lying about how many people are affected by this. Let's cue Joe Scarborough, Democrats in the News on Morning Joe, MSNBC, cut 20.
On February 10th, he said, by April, this will miraculously go away. On February 23rd, he said it's very much under control. We had 12 at one point, and now they've gotten very much better. Again, yesterday, in Donald Trump's hometown, 1,000 Americans died of the coronavirus. 1,000 total deaths. We went over yesterday, and in his hometown of New York City, 80 people died.
Both of those numbers were false. First, he said 1,000 people died in New York City yesterday. Then he said 80 people died in New York City. He has no idea what he's talking about. None.
Howie, now numbers matter, because if you told Nancy Pelosi that she wasn't turning 80 today, that she was turning 1,000, I bet she'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah. She probably would. 80, 1,000. This is ridiculous. And by the way, speaking of Nancy Pelosi, we had part of this in the intro, but we need to. This is Nancy Pelosi today, and sometimes your memory starts to maybe fade a little bit. They used to call it senior moments. Now they call it Biden moments. So Nancy had a Biden moment today. Cut 18.
We would hope that the government production office, the Defense Production Office agency would be called upon to call upon industry to convert to making ventilators and the rest. Testing, mask, ventilators. What's the mystery? We need many more. And a ventilator, just for your information, is.
May we quote you on that, Madam Speaker?
She can't be bothered to remember the name of the Defense Production Act. After all, she was only a child when it was first being used.
Yeah. Well, the Globe the other day, when Donald Trump actually invoked the Defense Production Act, this was a couple of days before Joe Biden said, why doesn't he invoke the Defense Production Act? But the Boston Globe said, President invokes Defense Production Bill. The bill. Wait, how can he invoke a bill if a bill is merely a proposal to make something a law?
Somebody didn't watch Schoolhouse Rock when they were a kid.
Right, when they were in the third grade. And it lasted for hours on the Globe website. President invokes Defense Production Bill. Nobody caught it. Guess they were all too busy getting their hair dyed purple. You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. You will feel much better. I have to go out on the bike path very early in the morning now because they've shut down the bike path after 8 a.m. for everybody over the age of 12. So I get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, and I put a spoonful of Super Beets in my glass of water, and I chug it down, and I'm ready to go out on the bike path for 5 miles. It's great. It makes you feel better. And then right before the show, when I need a boost of energy for the afternoon, it's great. Super Beets is wonderful. You'll never forget the name of the Defense Production Act if you take Super Beets twice a day. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow. Better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. This level of research is unheard of in the nutrition category. These are just some of the reasons why I love Super Beets and why they've worked for me and for Taylor and for Grace. To try
And Howie, I
Yes.
just want everyone to know I will be having my Super Beets out of a champagne flute from the kitchen to celebrate Nancy Pelosi. So if I seem super excited during my segment, it's thanks to Super Beets.
That's a good use of a champagne flute, because you can't use a champagne flute for champagne in Champaign, Illinois, because they don't have any more purchases from liquor stores for the duration. To try Super Beets risk-free for 90 days, visit www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie and get a free 30-day supply, free shipping, and free nitric oxide strips to test your nitric oxide levels with your first purchase. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie, www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Boone's Fish House and Oyster Room on the Portland waterfront. For amazing wood-grilled meats and seafood, visit the home of the baked stuffed lobster, Boone's, Portland.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte. Because after the Obar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach, with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with he was just there, as the Michel Casson, Patch's date said, he was just there, without trousers, or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think you'd still be good at it?
I'm not a great bidder, but I know how to count cards. That to me is the essence of playing a hand of bridge, is to be able to count cards.
What is a rhino?
Rhino is a Republican in name only. Think Paul Ryan. Oh, think Mitt Romney. Think Jeff Flake.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
This time every Thursday, we're joined by the financial wizard of the Howie Carr Show, Kevin Frisbee, and he's with us here to give us his take on the financial situation. Kevin, big gain on Wall Street for the third day in a row. It hasn't erased all the losses of the last couple of weeks, obviously, but have we reached the bottom, do you think?
Well, it's certainly a good sign, Howie. 3 days up. We're up pretty near 20% from the bottom for this week alone. And so, it's a little bit of a relief rally, I would say. People had a lot of angst going down 5 and 37% in record time. So yet I get some of that back is a good thing. The jobs numbers out this morning, there's a couple of things we're watching. I'm a little bit concerned about the future data coming out. Jobs numbers this morning, 3.28 million. The GDP numbers coming out next week. I'm concerned about earnings going forward. I think there's a deluge of negative reports that will follow. So this could be just a reprieve rally with a potential to go back down and retest the lows, which a lot of analysts in Wall Street are thinking we're going to do.
But, they always talk about good numbers being baked in. I mean, aren't those like a decline in the GDP and all these other negative reports? Aren't they baked in now at this point?
Well, like the jobs numbers this morning were baked in for sure. It was the highest number ever in the history, but everybody expected between 3 and 4 million job losses reported. So, yeah, that was certainly baked in. We're up 800 plus points today, just because, again, there's a lot of positives with that bill. That people are going to get flooded with money. They're going to backstop basically all corporate debt for the most part, municipal bonds, those type of things. So I think the government's done as much as they have ever done in a crisis situation to be able to make sure that we don't have huge declines in unemployment and business. But again, the whole positive thing this week is, and part of why the market's up is Trump talked about opening up the market again by Easter, which is only 3 weeks away. God, I hope he can do it. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, what happens to the markets then?
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty clear the mainstream media is rooting against him. I mean, it couldn't be any clearer in these press conferences every night. You saw Cheesecake Factory today announced, the big restaurant chain, that they're not going to pay their landlords for all of their restaurants. They don't have enough money. Well, you own a lot of apartments in Maine. What are you gonna do are you gonna get paid, do you think, or how many people aren't gonna pay you?
Somebody better be paying, Howie. Yeah, we have a bunch of apartment rentals scattered around Maine, mostly in central Maine. My wife and I actually talked about, my wife runs that business. We talked about that the last couple of days. There's some tenants that are starting to rumble about it. Most of our tenants are good working people, so they're not. We don't hardly do any Section 8, very minimal of any of that. So again, most of these people are working regular jobs, and we've talked with some of them already. And part of the reason that they're sending out these stimulus checks of $1,200 per tax-paying adult is so that they can pay the rent, they can pay the mortgage, they can pay some of the bills that if they get unemployed or laid off for a period of time. And if they're a married couple, they're going to get $1,200 a piece. So that should be a little bit of reprieve. We don't have huge high rents in the state. They should be able to handle that.
So you're not that worried. You're not that concerned. You can ride it out for a while.
We're really not that concerned. And you know what? If some reason that we have a bunch of tenants not pay the rents, then I guess I turn to the federal government and say we're a business and we're not getting paid. So you guys kind of put us in this spot. What do we do? I don't know. We'll have to. I'll give you an update in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. If people need some advice on what they should do going forward, and I assume you're reading this legislation to see who's going to benefit, and if you own a small business, whether you can tap into some of this money or how it works, you're available for consultations with people, with my listeners, correct?
Yeah, that's right. They can reach us, Howie, at 1-800-989-9100. And you're exactly right. Me and our advisors are reading through the legislation. If somebody wants to talk through what they need to do, what they might have benefits of, give us a call. I know the state of Massachusetts and a good part of Maine is in lockdown, but let's have a phone conversation is what I'll tell your listeners. Give a call. No obligation. We're here to take calls. 1-800-989-9100.
Are people on Social Security going to get anything? Because a lot of people are texting me about that, and I'm unclear.
If somebody's on Social Security, collecting Social Security, and they're still working, and they're a tax-paying person, not to say that people on Social Security aren't paying taxes, but I'm talking about earned income from a job, the answer is going to be yes. But if somebody's completely retired and only collecting Social Security, I don't think so. But again, the bill is hundreds of pages long with all the proposals. I'm not a regular politician. These politicians read it overnight. I'm not that good. So I can't answer that right now.
But you could at least get a start. If they call up your office, someone will be there to sort of go over it and give them maybe a call back later after we've sorted all this stuff out. Give us the number one more time, Kevin Frisbie, FRISBIE. Go ahead.
That's right, 1-800-989-9100, Howie.
FrisbeeAssociates.com. I'm Howie Carr. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
If you're in or near the financial red zone, that's 2 to 5 years from retirement. Do you know how your nest egg would fare if the market had a major correction? Does your plan have too much risk? Are you being too conservative? It's time to stress test your retirement plan. Call Kevin Frisbie at Frisbie & Associates and ask for your retirement plan stress test. It's a $500 value and it's yours at no cost. 800-989-9100. Find out where your plan is today. Maybe it's time to lock in those gains, reduce your risk, and make sure your portfolio has the diversification needed to weather the inevitable bear market. Kevin can help take the worry out of living in retirement. Call now for your no-cost or obligation retirement stress test, a $500 value. Call Kevin today, 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100. And catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon for a market review and tips on creating the retirement of your dreams.
I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes. We're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? Is that not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Not Montana. I'm talking about never mind.
Yeah, no,
Ignore me.
I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's Donald Trump Jr. proving once and for all the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
They hate Trump more than they love America. For them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning. I don't know if this is coronavirus or Trump derangement syndrome, but these people are infected badly. To make this guy into a religious scholar, that's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer is a purveyor of organic and fine exotic meats. Adam Schiff is basically the Jussie Smollett of Congress on steroids.
Children are off limits. Remember this one? If 13-year-old Barron Trump is not off limits, Hunter Biden sure as is not off limits.
Because my name is Trump, if I took $1.5 from China, not $1.5 billion like Hunter, their heads would explode.
Who was your favorite Democrat? Go ahead.
Mitt Romney, Gail. Mitt Romney's my favorite Democrat. How about that? Please, Lord, in my next life, make me a leftist so I can say anything and get away with it.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. Bernie Sanders is officially in the race for 2020. Let's look back at some of the septuagenarian's greatest hits.
Should we give tax breaks to billionaires, which is what Trump wants, or demand that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes?
Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's funny. Sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
We understand your wife has hired a lawyer to represent her in a possible probe into a land deal that fell apart. This was back when she was president of Burlington College.
No, it was not when she was. Oh, let me say a word on that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask you: do you know she's under FBI investigation?
Excuse me. My wife is about.
Were you looking for me, Howie?
What?
You weren't looking for me, were you?
No. I think I'm okay.
Lawmakers and economists on both sides of the aisle have said that reopening the country by Easter is not a good idea.
Just so you understand. Are you ready?
Oh, we needed the.
This is going to be good.
I think there are certain people that would like it not to open so quickly.
Boom. Roasted.
I think there are certain people that would like it to do financially poorly because they think that would be very good as far as defeating me at the polls.
Boom. Roasted.
There are people in your profession that would like that to happen.
Boom. Roasted.
There are people in your profession that write fake news. You do.
Boom. Roasted.
She does.
Boom. Roasted.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Yeah, he went after the news media, making the point that, we'd like to see him do poorly in the election. And so we're rooting against him in this crisis. And that's so ridiculous.
It's some 60% approval ratings for the way he's handling this crisis. The briefings are working for the president. No matter what he says, people seem to be seeing him as a leader.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Somebody who's making $12 an hour with the $600 on top of their regular unemployment check might be making a few bucks more for 4 months. Oh my word! Will the universe survive?
We want to make sure that you are whole in unemployment, not that you get a raise because of the coronavirus. But that would be unfair to all Americans who are working. And we believe in this country in the dignity in work.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Important legislation. We're very proud of the product. We did jujitsu on it. The government production office, defense production office, testing, mask, ventilators.
Marsha.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Nancy Pelosi, 80 years young today, March 6th, 1940.
Happy birthday, Madam Speaker.
She was almost a contemporary of Marilyn Monroe's. Well, not quite. Marilyn Monroe.
She has that picture with JFK.
Yeah, she did. I've thought about that. I wonder what happened when they had that picture taken. But yeah, she was the mayor.
What's that
mayor's
supposed
daughter.
to mean?
Well, you can read into it what you want to read into it, Taylor. I don't know. I don't know. Was she ever alone with Joe Biden? Who knows? Did Joe Biden ever ask her to get any equipment of his, and they were alone together?
All right, this is my news segment, Mister. Clean it up. I'll have none of this.
All right, but as you know, the bill was passed by the so-called relief bill was passed by the Senate last night. Now it's being debated in the House. It's apparently going to be passed tomorrow. It's a lot of pork in the stimulus, and could be called porkulus as well. And many people are calling it porkulus too, son of porkulus. But there it is.
Sometimes you need a little pork.
Yeah, you do. I like pork. I like.
So do I. I knew this was going to turn into a discussion about different kinds of pork.
I was at the Publix last night, Grace. You're familiar with that, and
yes.
I was behind this guy and his son, and the son had a lot of tattoos, and he had a pot belly, and the father had no hair on him. Typical boomer and millennial family.
Weren't you fat and hairless once too?
No.
As George Costanza would say, I was bald.
But here's the point. These two guys, the father and son, were wearing not only masks, but gloves. The workers at Publix have been instructed that it's not healthy to wear gloves, but they're wearing the gloves.
Say if you wear them and then you touch everything. And I think the problem with gloves is people put on the gloves and they feel unstoppable. So they think they can just touch everything. And it makes it worse because if you're touching hard surfaces, I'm not a doctor.
But the thing, and
I put on gloves and a mask when I went shopping the other day.
Really? Where'd you go? At a liquor store or the weed
market basket?
Oh.
But so I looked at what they were buying.
What's
These
that
people who were
supposed to
so
mean?
concerned about their bodies and bacteria.
He's still
they
mad
were
about
buying
the fat
some
and hairless.
frozen sausage. They were buying frozen sausage and something from Nathan's Hot Dogs. I don't know what it was, but if it's from Nathan's Hot Dogs, I don't think you're that concerned about what you're ingesting
Yeah, you
into
got
your
a better
body.
chance. That hot dog's got a better chance of taking you down.
Exactly.
The other day, Will was making bacon, and the oil from the bacon, you know how it pops when you're
Yes.
cooking it, the grease, and
Right.
it popped and it hit him in the arm, and he's like, "Ow!" screamed, and I thought to myself, now that is the sound of delicious bacon.
You got to learn to take it like a man. He's got it on to the heat too high.
All right, guys, we didn't come here to talk about bacon and sausage and other delicious meats. I came here to do my news. And Howie, I'm going to bring back a segment that I used to do, and it faded out over time, but I really liked it. And I think this is the perfect time to bring it back. And that is my daily tweet beat.
Yes.
Tweet. Did I bring it back just so I could play that song every day? Yes. But also because today there was a particularly good thread on Twitter that I think everyone will be interested in. I pulled all of the sound from the thread because it's just that
Was
good.
it a tweet or a twit or a Twitter, as
I
Nancy
don't
Pelosi
care.
would say?
I don't care, to quote the birthday girl. Ron Klain, Howie. Do you know Ron Klain?
Oh, yes. He's one of the experts who doesn't, oddly, he doesn't have a medical degree. He's a lawyer, I believe. He's a bust out lawyer. He's really just a hack from the deep state from Obama years. But he's now one of those experts because he's predicting doom and gloom.
Right. So here's the thing, though. A lot of people aren't on Twitter. And when you're not on Twitter, you miss a lot of bad stuff. You miss a lot of trolls and a lot of morons, but you also miss some of the best minds in the business just tearing people apart, which I really enjoy. So this guy, Ronald Klain, they have no shame, these Democrats. They'll tweet something and then they'll contradict themselves days later, and they don't think we're going to go in our Joy Reid time machine and pull them back up. So Ronald Klain tweeted today an article, and he said, if you are not at your job today, it is because Donald Trump did not do his job to fight coronavirus in January and February. So this good citizen, his Twitter name is Tom Elliott. He tweets out, Ron Klain in February on the coronavirus, quote, no reason yet to be fearful, no reason yet to really panic or anything like that. Tom goes on to provide, like any, Tom has a little lawyer in him. He wants to provide the actual tape because audio is even better. So let's play. He did all the work for me. Let's play cut 26.
So what I'd say is I think we have reason to be concerned. I think there's reason for the U.S. to be more aggressive in the response than what's been mounted so far in many respects. Reason to be prepared for something. But I think no reason yet to be fearful. No reason to really panic or anything like that. I just think there are just a lot of unknowns about this virus and what its path is going to be.
So Tom points out that while Ronald Klain was telling people to relax, by February 12th, Trump had already banned travel from China, banned travel from Europe, suspended co-pays for coronavirus testing, mandated quarantines, declared a public health emergency, and issued a travel warning. Now, the next clip is from February 5th. As Tom Elliott points out, here is Ron Klain saying it's impossible to cut off the flow of people from China to the United States and suggests doing so would not help anyway. This is cut 27.
It is impossible to cut off the flow of people from China to the United States. They're needed to bring vital goods to the United States by boat and by plane. We have Americans coming back to and from China, family members, so on and so forth. So my point about travel bans is beyond the effectiveness issues that Dr. Nuzzo has raised. As a practical matter, we don't have one. We will never have one. And therefore, what we need to do is to monitor the people who've been in China recently, who are here in the U.S., and impose public health measures on a very large scale.
So
is it really fair? Is it really fair to ask Dr. Ronald Klain? Oh, excuse me. He's not a doctor. He just plays one on TV.
You might as well throw it in.
As a matter of fact, he's a lawyer, but would you trust him to fight a library overdue book fine for you? I wouldn't.
I would trust me right now because I'm laying out this case. I would trust at Thomas Elliott more than I would trust this guy. But how he wouldn't be a true media hack if he didn't go on with Rachel Maddow and talk about how Trump, his travel ban is merely a distraction tactic.
Is it xenophobic too? Is it xenophobic and nativist?
Stay tuned. This is Cut 28.
I think part of this, Rachel, is the classic Trump distraction tactic. He wants to see progressives debate the travel ban, so on and so forth, and not come after where he has failed.
Now, before you start thinking this or that about Ronald Klain, I need to remind you guys that he is a fan of, he's not always negative. He's very positive when it comes to complimenting the way they do things in China. This is Cut 29.
It's time for the words to be matched with kind of the same tempo of actually doing things as they did in China. They built hospitals in 2 or 3 days. We need to get this going now.
They you know what, Grace, they build those hospitals in China almost as fast as they build coal-fire energy producing plants in China that kill polar bears.
Exactly. And Howie, these are the same people who are telling us Trump's not taking it seriously enough. They don't think we know that they were against this a couple days ago. But I have a couple more tweets before we go to break. Stephen Miller had a great tweet today. He said, NBC and CNN last week, where is Dr. Fauci? Why isn't he speaking? NBC and CNN this week, we're done hearing from Dr. Fauci. And another tweet, this is from Tom Vidor. He's some blue check, moonbat. He says, this is what he said in 2016, okay? He said, the way you beat Trump is by letting him talk. You care to say what he said?
Let's stop Trump from talking.
And today, or yesterday, now we're in 2020, this is the same guy. Of course, Trump's coronavirus approval numbers are up. Cable news networks are blasting his lies to record audiences. No fact-checking, no regard for the harm caused by the content, just a daily fire hose of BS.
Grace, one of my new recent quotes that I really love to quote, I just read it in a review of a book about Irving Berlin. When he talked, the mob is always right.
Oh, yeah.
So in this case, the ratings are always right. So why are they complaining about getting more viewers than they've ever had before for these press conferences?
Because Trump trumps everything. They hate Trump so much. And Howie, I would give you another quote and say, you can't beat crazy. Sometimes I go on and I think to myself, this guy, Ronald Klain, who I just read all his tweets from, I think there's no way he doesn't tweet, I see that I was being hypocritical. And then I go on and he's tweeting out, for those who didn't understand what I meant, you're too stupid for me to explain it. These people, there's no repercussions. There is never going to be an awakening for these people. They're out of their minds.
Why did Obama put him in charge of swine flu? Because that's basically what he was in charge of. What were his qualifications?
Oh,
where did he intern?
Right. He wore a lot of bow ties, I'm sure.
What medical school does he teach at? Did he attend?
Maybe he was on that Obama Bro podcast at one point. I'm sure his credential list is long. When we get back, I want to talk about Joe Biden and how he's no longer focused on the debates.
All right. Okay. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here.
I'm sorry. I thought we had one coming up. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by MyCube Safe. MyCube is extending their sale for $200 off plus free shipping. Safes are needed now to store cash, ammo, and guns. Email scott@mycubesafe.com. Only 50 available. Cape Gunworks has added virtual online classes during this difficult time. Based in Hyannis, Cape Gunworks remains open 7 days a week for all of your gun and ammo needs. The range is also open full-time. Cape Gunworks now carries the MyCube Survival Safe. This safe is good for ammo, cash, and your pistol. To learn more about the online classes, go to capegunworks.com. That's capegunworks.com. capegunworks.com.
At Subaru of New England, we believe in vehicles that families can trust. The all-new 2020 Subaru Outback starts at only $26,645 with 0% financing for up to 63 months. With your Subaru purchase, get 90-day payment deferral from our participating retailers. It takes love and community to make a difference. Our New England Subaru retailers are committed to being a resource for our neighbors. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
This is the Howie Carr Show live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House. 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969. on WHDH News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the party house where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not. Campers, have you thought of upgrading your RV or camper this year? This is Howie Carr. Right now at Cold Springs RV, you can shop great preseason deals on a brand new 2020 camper. Go see the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motor homes. Cold Springs RV is your one-stop shop with over 200 acres of all things camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV center and superstore. Now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and auto body shop. That makes Cold Springs your destination for all things camping. Remember, at Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can freely browse. So go check out the latest 2020 models and see for yourself. If you're looking for a pre-owned RV, you'll also find one of the largest selections in New England. Don't miss the year's best selection and early bird savings at Cold Springs RV, and tell them Howie sent you. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. Online at coldspringsrv.com.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Last night, as you know, the Senate passed important legislation. We're very proud of the product. We think it is, we did jujitsu on it.
Were they kung flu fighting, Madam Speaker?
Hey, we will not have any of that
you.
here. How dare you?
Today's poll question is brought to you by Boomer Naturals. We sold out of the cheap bastard deal fast yesterday, but you can still save big today. For select doctor-formulated natural CB5 products that you purchase, you will receive 2 4-ounce hand sanitizers and a $20 value mini pain relief roll-on free. Go to Howie Carr Show.
If you could listen to only one of these songs for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Imagine by John Lennon or We Are the World by USA for Africa?
And suicide is not an option, so I'm going to go with Imagine.
I'm saying We Are the World. I like when Stevie Wonder says, "We are the world," and throws his head back. I like that part.
Ray Charles is in that one, right?
Howie? I don't know. The reason I'm going for Imagine is I always remember my thoughts and what we always used to do in college, thinking about John Lennon. Imagine there no possessions as he's driving his Rolls Royce.
Well, Elton John said he wrote him. Did you tell me this, Howie? Elton John wrote John Lennon a letter. He rewrote the song and said, "Imagine 2 apartments, one filled with only shoes or something like that.
Yeah, there's a number of ways you can go with that.
Yeah.
One. I like that one better. Just
all right. So 30% say they'd rather listen to We Are the World.
Okay.
All right, and I want to get into some Joe Biden news, but Howie, do you mind if I give a quick shout out here? I wanted to give a thank you to all the nurses and doctors, especially here in Boston. We have some of the best in the business. My cousin is a nurse. She is literally the hardest working person I know. She never complains. She never gets down. She's on the front lines of this, like so many other great people. And I'm truly just amazed by all of them. I wanted to say thank you because we have the luxury of coming in here and, worrying and complaining about things. And they don't have time for that. They just go up and get up every day and they do a really good job. So wanted to say thank you to them. And now on to a little bit of lighter news. Joe Biden. Joe Biden says he's focusing on the crisis right now. He is not focusing on any more debates. I think we've had enough debates. I think we should just get on with this, he said. Would you agree, Howie? Have we had enough debates?
No, we haven't had enough virtual town hall meetings either. When is he going back on with Jake Tapper or The View or Nicola Wallace?
I miss virtual Biden. I want him back.
It's only been over for a day, Grace.
I miss it,
we
though.
need it though. We need virtual
Howie.
Biden all the time. We have Cuomo in the morning. That's soap opera time, and then we have the new Walter Cronkite, which is the president's, press conferences every night. We need something in the middle there, other than the Howie Carr show, don't we?
Speaking of Cuomo, Howie, did you hear that Cuomo is getting a lot of love from females around the country? He's the new heartthrob.
Well,
people are just getting the vapors every time Cuomo comes on the TV.
If his brother is Fredo, that makes him Sonny.
And Sonny was
Sonny is this is his 80th birthday too. Happy birthday, James Caan.
Oh, yeah. So Joe Biden thinks that he's had enough debates, and I love him and Bernie keep saying like, I'm focusing on the crisis. Like they have so much on their plates. What are you guys doing? Especially Joe Biden. He's hunkered down in his basement, which apparently that took his staff 4 days to set up. That system took his staff 4 days, and he was like bragging about it. Took us 4 days down here to get this camera set up.
Don't throw in the towel, Bernie. Your day is coming. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr. Russell, please tell us about Boomer Naturals and how your products can help us.
Thanks, Howie. Boomer Naturals is a leading natural wellness company with patent-pending supplements that help boost our immune systems and help us with pain, inflammation, stress, anxiety, and sleep issues for people and our pets. Our ingredients are FDA safe and compliant and have been developed by our top wellness board, including a neurosurgeon, surgeon, internist, psychiatrist, and research scientist.
Thank you, Russell. We sure can use the help all your natural products provide. Do you have a special offer for our listeners?
Yes, Howie, we do. When they use the promotional code Howie at checkout, we will send 2 hand sanitizers and a $20 pain roll-on for free with every item they purchase off the Howie Carr page off our site. And there are no limits to this special offer. To get this offer, go to boomernaturals.com and click the link to the Howie Carr page. That is boomernaturals.com. We really look forward to helping everyone to stay strong and healthy.
Remember to go to boomernaturals.com to get this special offer. We have posted links on our website as well. Make sure to use promo code Howie at checkout.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You watch the fight, you watch the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over. So everybody enjoy the holidays.
Why is finding promo codes that actually work so hard? With Honey, it doesn't have to be. Honey is the free online shipping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes so you don't have to search for one yourself. No more Googling promo codes and only finding expired ones. No more digging in the dark corners of the internet, desperately looking for a discount. Just download Honey to your computer and head to one of your favorite shopping sites like Walmart, Home Depot, eBay, Target, etc. When you check out, click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey has over 100,000 five-star reviews. That's a lot. So you know it must be good. In fact, Honey's found over $2 billion in savings for its nearly 20 million members. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Download Honey on your computer for free at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We're going to take some calls this segment, but I just wanted to play some of the cuts from yesterday, the daily press briefing from the White House, which starts about an hour or so after we leave the air with Newsmax. And it's the same. I mean, it's getting boffo ratings. I mean, these ratings are like, for all of the cable news, there are 3 times as many people watching as there were a year ago. I mean, for obvious reasons. Plus, it's good entertainment because there is some back and forth between the president. He gets out the information and he has the experts with him, and the so-called experts. Usually they say experts denounce Trump. Trump plan criticized by experts, but these are real experts. These are people who actually know what they're doing in most cases. So he has this testy exchange with a reporter over the opening, and again, I don't know if you heard when the news came out this morning, which was expected, that there were going to be millions filing for unemployment because of the virtual shutdown or the reductions that have taken place, dislocations, whatever you want to call them. There were 3.3 million layoffs, and the mainstream media, maybe I don't think it's my imagination, in large numbers were almost gleeful and giddy about the layoffs. And I don't think they hate the 3.3 million people who were losing their jobs, but they are ecstatic that they think this is going to hurt the president of the United States in his reelection bid. So last night, it was the usual cast of characters going after the president, and he grows testy with them sometimes. And I got to say, it's good TV, but on the other hand, it raises my blood pressure. I don't know about yours when you hear it. Cut 23.
Feel badly about it.
Mr. President, you tweeted earlier linking the closing of the country to your election success in November. Is this Easter timeline based on your political interests?
What do you mean by election success? No.
You said that the media wants the country to remain closed to hurt your
No, I think the media, the media would like to see me do poorly in the election. I think
lawmakers and economists on both sides of the aisle have said that reopening the country by Easter is not a good idea. What is that plan based on?
Both sides of the aisle.
Just so you understand. Are you ready? I think there are certain people that would like it not to open so quickly. I think there are certain people that would like it to do financially poorly because they think that would be very good as far as defeating me at the polls. And I don't know if that's so, but I do think it's so that there are people in your profession that would like that to happen. I think it's very clear. I think it's very clear that there are people in your profession that write fake news. You do. She does. There are people in your profession that write fake news. They would love to see me for whatever reason, because we've done one hell of a job. Nobody's done the job that we've done. And it's lucky that you have this group here right now for this problem, or you wouldn't even have a country left. Okay.
I don't blame him for being angry. I mean, maybe it's not a perfect analogy, but can you imagine if it was like, I don't know, August 1944, and FDR was holding a press conference and some reporter said, "Did you force the D-Day landing because you're concerned about your reelection chances against Tom Dewey?" I mean, it would never happen. No president has ever been asked these kinds of questions in the past, and especially with such dripping contempt and vitriol in their voices. And so then they play Mickey the Dunce, like they don't know what he's talking about, like he's some kind of a paranoid for even raising this point. Cut 6.
And Gloria, you did hear during the course of the president's statement, his response to the questions, he went after the usual suspects, including the news media.
Yeah, he went after the news media, making the point that, we'd like to see him do poorly in the election. And so we're rooting against him in this crisis. And that's so ridiculous. We should almost not even dignify it, honestly.
That's so ridiculous. How is it ridiculous? You just heard the tone of her voice.
Howie, this gets me so mad. I wouldn't care so much if they were just open about their hatred, but you're exactly right. They turn it around and they're like, who, me? He thinks that I don't like him? Why? Because I call him Hitler every other day and I write incessant think pieces about how he's the worst thing in the world. And we draw pictures of him where it's orange hair and a coronavirus ball as his head. Like, why do you think we all know you hate him? It's because you hate him. Just be honest about it. That's all we want.
And there's an NPR, National Panhandler radio station in Seattle, Washington, that has announced, as virtue signaling, that they're not going to cover the president's news conferences nightly, wall to wall anymore, because he's spreading misinformation and we can't edit it in real time. And again, these are the same panhandlers, the same beggars who are asking for handouts in this relief package. That's, maybe it's the Corporation for Public Broadcasting as opposed to NPR, but a rose by any other name would be as sweet. And again, I have to read this one again, just one more time. This is from Joe Lockhart, the Clinton flack back in the day, who later went to work for the NFL and screwed up the response to Colin Kaepernick. This is his tweet. Biden. Oh no, this is a different one. I got the wrong Biden quote. I was getting this one was I'll get to it. I've lost it in my stack of stuff. We'll take some calls. Karen, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Karen.
Hey, Howie. Good afternoon. I have a couple of comments and a question. Okay, so I heard about the Canadians sending over PPE to China.
Yes.
Really? They caused it, and they're sending them supplies. Send them to New York. Cuomo needs them. Okay, so another comment. Today I was listening to Rush, and I don't know who was guest hosting for
Ken
him.
Matthews.
But I heard him say something about the Illinois governor. He is one of the largest stockholders of a very famous hotel stock.
Yes,
so because
Hyatt.
Of this,
Hyatt.
So don't you think
The hotel space, right? I mean, Cuomo talks about incessantly about the lack of beds in New York State. I mean, doesn't Hyatt own some hotels in New York State that they could open up for their fellow Democrat governors? And when you said Pritzker's one of the largest, he's one of the largest governors, period, isn't he, Karen?
are you talking about in size?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist that.
My last point. This is a question. Do you recall? I want to say it was about a week ago that the People's Republic of China banished some news organizations
Yes.
from their country. Gee, how come they didn't banish Bloomberg? You think it's to carry the water for them?
They banished the Wall Street Journal, among others. But you're right, Karen. Good points. Thank you for the call. By the way, the station in Seattle that's said that they're not going to carry the press conferences live anymore, KUOW FM, due to a pattern of false or misleading information that cannot be fact-checked in real time. Okay. They're very concerned. I'm sure that this pattern will continue if the Democrats regain the White House. I'm sure they'll be regarding their press conferences with great skepticism. Mary, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
I'm calling. My son works at the VA in New Orleans,
Yes.
and they actually went through the VA hospital and clinics and all and confiscated all of their masks, their N95 masks. They don't even have the real simple little cloth type mask, and their gloves.
Really? Why?
Yes. And they sent them to other hospitals. They sent those things to other hospitals. And now at VA hospital, they have nurses and doctors that's turning up sick.
Well, I don't know the details of that. I know that New Orleans, after Mardi Gras, they say that there's going to be another epicenter in the South, and they're concerned that it's going to be the virus is going to be spread into the South from New Orleans because of all these party goers that showed up in the Crescent City for the Mardi Gras. We'll check and see if we learn more about what's going on there. And of course, that the shortage of N95 masks dates back to the Obama years, and that's been reported by Bloomberg even and the LA Times that after the swine flu virus, there was a real shortage. That most of the N95 masks were used up in that pandemic, and all the health authorities recommended highly that the Obama administration restock and pay for the restocking of 100 million or so N95 masks, and Obama just brushed it off.
Hey, Howie, speaking of that, I was just talking to someone about fact checking and how they don't want to run Trump now because they can't fact check him.
Yes.
And so I was on Snopes the other day and I started looking up, I wonder what they say about this. I wonder, because you know how they do true or false.
Right.
And so I looked up that thing about, did Obama deplete the masks? And what came up was, did Obama deplete the military? Because Trump must say that all the time.
Yes.
And you know what I noticed they started doing now? rather than say true or false, if Trump says something false, they'll put a big false with a stop sign, an X, a devil's head or whatever. But if he says something true, they'll go, you know what the verdict is?
What?
It's complicated. And then they follow it up with like 6 paragraphs of editorializing. And then another one they did today was somebody put up the fact check for Trump saying America has done more tests than any other country. And you know what the fact check said?
What?
While this is partially true, we haven't done as many per capita as South Korea. It's like, wait a second. So now you're not even fact checking the fact. You're saying, but if he means this, it's not true. They're unbelievable.
Yeah. There's an English novel where they always have to agree with the boss, and they say the boss asks them something and it's obviously false, and they say, and the boss says, do you agree? And the underlings go, up to a point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's complicated.
Up to a point. Did Donald Trump tell the truth? Up to a point.
If he says anything true, it gets very complicated for them. Rather than just saying it's true, it's like, he might be saying true, but let's read between the lines of what he's trying to say.
Yeah. Here's something from the editorial board of the New York Times, of the Wall Street Journal today about, again, Cuomo's complaining about they don't have enough hospital beds. Albany's low Medicaid payments have caused many hospitals to close in the Empire State. While expanding Medicaid enrollment, Mr. Cuomo in 2014 sought to rationalize costs with an $8 billion federal grant for putative payment reforms aimed at reducing emergency room visits. Will this mean some hospital beds are reduced? Mr. Cuomo said at the time, I'm trying to get his faux New York accent. Yes, because that is the point of the exercise. You will have a decrease in beds. This was in 2014 when Donald Trump was a reality TV show star, and this guy was still the governor of New York. But now it's Donald Trump's fault that they don't have enough hospital beds in New York, even though he was admitting they were going to decrease the number of hospital beds. Is this going to be on TV tonight on MSNBC, on Rachel Maddow's show, or Don Lemone's? I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Howie Carr Show podcast. Did you miss any hours of our show? Go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts and download any episode for free.
Primary season is upon us, and as we officially enter the 2020 presidential campaign clown show, we here at Matthews Brothers are once again girding our loins against the upcoming deluge of innuendo, deception, and slander we fondly refer to as campaign rhetoric. You'd think that after 166 years and 41 presidential campaigns, our loins would be fairly well girded. But as the boys used to say, an extra gird or two never hurt. And while we accept this from our elected officials, we expect better things from the private sector. Problem is, there's a surprising number of companies that don't feel obligated to this higher standard. Even in the home improvement industry, whose reputation for ethical standards rival those of used car dealers and personal injury attorneys, we have those who would bend the truth to make a sale. That's why we here at Matthews Brothers have always favored science over scams. We provide more written performance information on every window we ship than nearly every other window manufacturer out there. You can learn more about the performance of our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Here's Donald Trump Jr. proving once and for all the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
They hate Trump more than they love America. For them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning. I don't know if this is coronavirus or Trump derangement syndrome, but these people are infected badly. To make this guy into a religious scholar, that's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer is a purveyor of organic and fine exotic meats. Adam Schiff is basically the Jussie Smollett of Congress on steroids. Children are off limits. Remember this one? If 13-year-old Barron Trump is not off limits, Hunter Biden sure as is not off limits.
Taylor.
Because my name is Trump, if I took $1.5
Yes. Can you see if you can get Sununu on, or at least give me some, or send McKay a story so that we can have something about the stay-at-home orders on for New Hampshire?
Yeah, I'll see if we can get him on.
Okay, thanks. Blow it on your New Year's resolution? Didn't stick to that trendy new diet plan? Stop the roller coaster and get the weight off for good. People still say to me, wow, Howie, you look really great with all that weight off. But it's a lot more than looking better. It really is about feeling better, too. For me, it's about not having to wear a CPAP mask in order to sleep through the night. I'm able to go on bike rides every day. Sometimes I go on 2 or 3. I have much lower blood pressure, a lot more energy. I still eat what I want to eat, but unlike before the sleeve, now I don't overeat. Get the weight off for good. Call Newton Wellesley Weight Loss Center. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. Don't procrastinate any longer. Whatever your age, whatever your gender, do it. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side?
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame, except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
This is Paul in North Andover, Mass.
This is Luana in Lexington, Massachusetts.
This is Lauren in Augusta, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
It has a very nice floral bouquet. Little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
I like lavender myself. But that was more fake news. They're just repackaging that stuff. They're not really making any in the New York State prisons. He was talking about that a couple of weeks ago, but that was more comic relief, like Joe Biden's virtual town halls. Anyway, I found the Joe Lockhart. This is the guy. He was Clinton's press secretary, and then he went to work for the NFL and did such a bang-up job he got fired, basically, from doing the Colin Kaepernick disaster. This is his tweet, dumping on Trump. Another day and another day, real Donald Trump has not left the White House to see firsthand what's going on in the country. No visit to see first responders or ER docs and nurses. No visit to a small business that's repurposing to help the cause. King in the ivory tower. But of course, if he did leave the White House, they would be saying that he's taking away from the time and the efforts to provide real relief to those who are stricken with the virus. I mean, if he stays in, he's criticized. If he doesn't stay in the White House, he's criticized. So here were some of the responses. Ray Rex, if Trump visited a hospital, then you would criticize him for disrupting the much needed work there. Here's another one. You work for CNN. Ha 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 ha. And my favorite, Jessica Fletcher. Did your mother drop you on your head as a child, Joe? Very good point. Good question. 844-500-4242. Some texters are criticizing me for blaming Obama for the lack of N95 masks. I'm just pointing out that 2 far left-wing news organizations, Bloomberg and the Los Angeles Times, have said that it was recommended after swine flu passed through the system that the U.S. spend some money to buy 100 million or so new masks to take the place of the one that had been used. in the H1N1 virus, or as Joe Biden calls it, the N1H1 virus. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. So if if the economy's if the success of the economy is Obama's fault, then he's got to take some heat when some legacies of his administration aren't so positive. Let's see. Larry, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Larry.
Larry, thanks for taking my call. I'm 90 years old, and I'm watching your program, and the delay in the House of Representatives taking up this bill makes me think back when Pelosi was in charge and they had Obamacare.
Yeah, we have to read the bill. We have to pass the bill before we can read it. Is that what you mean, Larry? Thanks for calling in. Stay healthy. I'm Howie Carr. Though our hospitals remain our first line of defense, local urgent care facilities are also on the front line of COVID-19 in your community, and they too need medical supplies. That's why New England Center for Hair Restoration has donated surgical gowns, gloves, masks, and eye protection to an urgent care facility in need. You can help too. If you were involved in construction, painting, demolition, woodworking, or auto body, and you know of any commercial N95 masks not in use, New England Center for Hair Restoration urges you to donate them to your local urgent care facility or hospital. And at New England Center for Hair Restoration, the health and safety of their clients and staff is a top priority. They are now doing free virtual consultations from the comfort of your own home. Call today and have a hair restoration specialist remotely evaluate your hair loss and determine the ideal means for restoring your hair. Call 800-313-HAIR for your free consultation. That's 800-313-HAIR. Call 800-313-HAIR or visit 6khair.com. That's 6khair.com. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
Biden might be the front runner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the West.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves, and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases, people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years, and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth, or your teeth are discolored, or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in.
I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of two poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream. John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how I worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they did.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
I think lawmakers and economists on both sides of the aisle have said that reopening the country by Easter is not a good idea.
Just so you understand. Are you ready?
Oh, this is going to be good.
I think there are certain people that would like it not to open so quickly.
Boom. Roasted.
I think there are certain people that would like it to do financially poorly because they think that would be very good as far as defeating me at the polls.
Boom. Roasted.
There are people in your profession that would like that to happen.
Boom. Roasted.
There are people in your profession that write fake news. You do.
Boom. Roasted.
She does.
Boom. Roasted.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Yeah, he went after the news media, making the point that, we'd like to see him do poorly in the election. And so we're rooting against him in this crisis. And that's so ridiculous.
It's some 60% approval ratings for the way he's handling this crisis. The briefings are working for the president. No matter what he says, people seem to be seeing him as a leader.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Somebody who's making $12 an hour with the $600 on top of their regular unemployment check might be making a few bucks more for 4 months. Oh my word! Will the universe survive?
We want to make sure that you are whole in unemployment, not that you get a raise because of the coronavirus. And so that would be unfair to all Americans who are working. We believe in this country in the dignity in work.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Important legislation. We're very proud of the product. We did jujitsu on it. The government production office, defense production office, testing, mask, ventilators.
Marsha.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Remember the Access Hollywood tapes right before the 2016 election? And Trump was recorded 10 years earlier laughing with Billy Bush about, how if you were a celeb, you could do what you want with women. And he was just playing the clown, locker room talk, as he later said. And he talked about how you could grab women. He talked about how you could grab women by the you-know-what and get away with it. And Billy Bush was laughing. And then the tape came out. NBC had been sitting on it for 10 years. But then as the future president, was getting closer to Hillary Clinton in the polls, they decided to drop it at the last moment. They dropped it to the Washington Post. One Democrat organ, NBC, dropped it to another Democrat House organ, the Washington Post. And they almost sunk Trump in the election because he was talking about grabbing women by their you-know-what. So today it's come out the last day or so. Woman accuses Joe Biden of sexual assault. This was a former staff assistant to Joe Biden. She was a lawyer at the time, Tara Reid, and she claims that Biden sexually assaulted her in 1993. This tape was released today. We were alone, and it was the strangest thing. There was no exchange, really. He just had me up against the wall. His hands were on me and underneath my clothes. He went down my skirt, but then up inside. He penetrated me with his fingers. So in other words, he didn't just talk about grabbing some woman, according to this former aide of his. He actually did it. And after the assault was complete, he said, "Come on, man. I heard you liked me." Is this all over the news like the Access Hollywood tape was 4 years ago? Is MSNBC reporting on this? This is on tape. Is this on CNN today? Is this leading in the New York Times and the Washington Post? No? Huh. Strange. You'd think that actually being accused of doing this, and weren't we supposed to believe all women? Whatever women said, maybe the actual, all of the fine minute details weren't true, but generally speaking, you have to believe a woman, what she says, unless it's Juanita Broderick or Tara Reid or the two women who accused the lieutenant governor of Virginia of raping them, or all the women who accused Ted Kennedy. No, you don't believe them. Just when they accuse Republicans like Clarence Thomas or Donald Trump. Okay, time now for the chump line.
Happy birthday, Madam Speaker. Thank Woo for all you've done for America.
That's what the late mayor of Boston used to say on occasion, mumbles Menino. Thank Woo. Thank Woo, Madam Speaker. We mean that
So
sincerely.
Go
ahead.
So it's Nancy Pelosi's birthday today. I can only imagine that on her first birthday, they didn't put a candle in the cake because fire hadn't been discovered yet.
She's 80 years ago in Baltimore. A nice young baby was born, and look what she grew up into. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, whose wicked awesome windows and doors are only available through Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals.
So wait a minute. You make it illegal for people to go to work and unemployment goes up? Oh my God.
Now, who could have ever imagined that this was going to happen? And I could be wrong. I can't read people's minds, but there seemed to be giddiness and excitement in the voices of most of the newscasters this morning when they got to read that the unemployment numbers were over 3 million.
Poor Uncle Joe. He's thinking kind of slow, maybe with compunction. There he goes again, thinking that he's in, hoping for a Trump injunction.
I think he just wishes Bernie would get out of the fight. He doesn't think, I think he thinks he can resist Cuomo, but he's not sure that he can drive Bernie out if he has a few more of these virtual town hall disasters. That's why he doesn't want to go near any more debates. Can't say as I blame him, or you can't really credit anything that happens to Joe to his handlers, to Dr. Jill, and his bad son, Hunter, and whoever else is handling his campaign.
Hi, Howie. Governor Patrick calling. Wow, Nancy Pelosi just turned 80. So, did you guys practice social distancing when you took her to the prom back in the 50s? We're going to be fine.
I didn't come here to be made sport of, Governor. How did you do in your own second home state of Massachusetts in the primary? You got about as many votes as I got when I used to run for town meeting in a single precinct, in a single town, in a single county.
Miss Pelosi, in recognition of your wonderful, wonderful job in The Wizard of Oz, we'd like to say thank you. And again, we apologize for that house landing on your sister. Sorry.
Thank you for your centuries, plural, of public service, Madam Speaker. And you've done so much for your adopted hometown of San Francisco. And don't forget to look down when you go out onto the sidewalk to make sure you don't step into anything untoward.
Nancy Pelosi, the one virus that's lived on for 80 years.
Oh, how unkind is that? She's looking so forward to seeing her grandkids after everything is all her grandbabies, after all this is sorted out. And it would have been such a nice present for her, a birthday present for her and the grandkids, to give another $100 million or so, at least in loan guarantees, if not outright grants, to Planned Parenthood, so they could kill somebody else's grandbabies.
I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. Screw Granny and the trail police. I want to ride my bike.
I just don't know why I'm somehow going to be a carrier of coronavirus between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., but I can ride my bike with impunity and not get a ticket from the trail police after 5 o'clock or before 8 a.m. What's the difference? And how come some 11-year-old kid gets to ride the bike, but not me and nobody else who's in the age groups of over 12?
Joe Biden's caregiver should be criminally charged for elder abuse for letting him speak in public.
Yeah, they talk about these people that are mandated reporters, and they're supposed to report abuse of kids, but are they also supposed to report abuse of the elderly? And where are if there are mandated reporters for elder abuse, why aren't they calling in to ABC, MSNBC, all these networks that are doing virtual town halls with Joe Biden?
Testing. Earth to Nancy. Come in, Nancy.
Ventilators. That's all she can say.
You remember, I see the stimulus bill got $25 million for the Kennedy Center. RMS going to buy a lot of shivers. Yeah.
It's for the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. It's not for the Edward M. Kennedy Center for the Study of the Senate and Massage Parlor in Dorchester.
What are the chances Joe Biden forgets it's Nancy Pelosi's birthday?
Who would have ever thought, though, that Nancy Pelosi would turn 80 before Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders?
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
That's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. The Chump Line is brought to you every weekday by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, whose wicked awesome windows and doors are only available through Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals.
Testing. Earth to Nancy. Come in, Nancy.
All right. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by MyCube Safe. MyCube is extending their sale for $200 off plus free shipping. Safes are needed now to store cash, ammo, and guns. Email scott@mycubesafe.com. Only 50 available. Why is finding promo codes that actually work so hard? With Honey, it doesn't have to be. Honey is the free online shipping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes so you don't have to search for one yourself. No more Googling promo codes and only finding expired ones. No more digging in the dark corners of the internet, desperately looking for a discount. Just download Honey to your computer and head to one of your favorite shopping sites like Walmart, Home Depot, eBay, Target, etc. When you check out, click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey has over 100,000 five-star reviews. That's a lot. So you know it must be good. In fact, Honey's found over $2 billion in savings for its nearly 20 million members. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Download Honey on your computer for free at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is. I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
You know, people are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. And there has never been any man or woman more qualified.
Taylor, do you have any sound from Sununu?
It's there written on the paper. If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke. A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
This is Lynn in sunny Las Vegas.
This is Dan from the Moonbat capital of Jamaica Plain.
This is Gigi in Leominster, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. 413 says, who's going to watch the kids on that bike path? That's a good question. I've been thinking the same thing. So a 6-year-old kid can be out on the bike path by himself, but the parent can't be behind him, watching him or her. Today's poll question is brought to you by Boomer Naturals. We sold out of the cheap bastard deal fast yesterday, but you can still save big today. For select doctor-formulated natural CB5 products that you purchase, you will receive 2 4-ounce hand sanitizers and a $20 value mini pain relief roll-on free. Go to Howie Carr page show, go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Boomer banner at the top of the page. HowieCarrShow.com, click on the Boomer banner at the top to order and get your deal. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If you could only listen to one of these songs for the rest of your life, which would you choose? It's Imagine by John Lennon or We Are the World by USA for Africa.
Imagine, but I'd imagine that I wouldn't be turning on the phonograph, as Joe Biden would say, to listen to either of them if I had the choice.
69% would rather listen to John Lennon.
All right. 844-500-4242. The House is debating the Senate package that was passed last night or early this morning, and Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader of the House, had asked a very good question about this today. Cut 11.
The Speaker herself just said every day, every week that is wasted on not taking this seriously is a problem. I could not agree more. And yet for days, Democrats stalled this bill. How many people were laid off as the Democrats fought to change the election law or implement the Green New Deal? How many parents lost sleep wondering how they were going to make the payments in the next month? How many small businesses sat around a kitchen table and had to make that decision they never had to before about laying their employees off that are like family?
Do we really think that the Democrats are concerned about the 3.3 million people that were laid off? Those are not, by and large, Democrat voters, are they? Because they have jobs, real jobs, as opposed to Democrat type Bernie Sanders, assistant dean provost of diversity and sustainability type jobs, human relations coordinator type jobs, nonprofit government sector jobs. Meanwhile, in New Hampshire, Governor Chris Sununu has issued a stay-at-home order telling all quote-unquote non-essential businesses. Again, comes the recurring question, what is a non-essential business? To end in-person dealings starting midnight Friday, midnight tonight. This is not a shelter-in-place order. We are not closing borders, transportation. No one will be permitted from leaving their home, Sununu said at a press conference. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Many in New Hampshire have done a commendable job in practicing social distancing. We are not
Trump's beginning.
Okay, Trump is beginning the press conference. We're going to go to it right now until the break. We have a hard break at the bottom of the hour, but we'll stick with Donald Trump live.
How the world has changed, right? But it's going to end up being better than ever. I want to thank you very much for being here, and I'd like to update you on the steps we're taking on our ongoing fight to defeat the virus. This morning at 7:55, I spoke to the leaders of the G20, had a great meeting, and we have a lot of different ideas, a lot of good ideas. We're working together. The leaders gathered virtually around the world to discuss the whole subject of the problem that right now 151 nations have got. We had President Alberto Fernandez of Argentina, Prime Minister Scott Morrison of Australia, President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada.
We're going to monitor this as we go along, and we'll come back and take more live after the break. 844-500-4242 if you want to join us. I'm Howie Carr.
President Widodo of Indonesia, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte of Italy, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan. Congratulations to Japan on making a great decision on the Olympics. We're going to make it next year, 2021. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador of Mexico. I want to thank the President of Mexico for having done such a great job with respect to the military. We have 27,000 Mexican soldiers on our southern border, and very few people are getting through. I can tell you that. We got to keep it that way. And we have a great relationship with Mexico now. President Putin of Russia, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, President Ramaphosa of South Africa, President Moon of, as you know, a country that we spend a lot of time in, South Korea. We're working very hard on that. Prime Minister Sanchez of Spain, President Erdogan of Turkey, Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the United Kingdom, President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Council, Charles Michel, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom, World Bank President David Malpass, and the International Monetary Fund Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva. So that's a big group, but it's a great group. And they were all there, every one of them. And we talked about the problem, and hopefully won't be a problem for too much longer. The United States is working with our friends and partners around the world to stop the spread of the virus and coordinate our efforts. We discussed how vitally important it is for all of our nations to immediately share information and data. And we've been doing that to a large extent, but we'll do it even more so, and to inform I guess you could say, form each of us on the fight that we've got going one way or the other. It's a little bit different, but we're handling it a little bit in different ways. But there is great uniformity, I think. It was a terrific meeting, tremendous spirit among all of those countries. You had 20 countries plus the other people that I mentioned, and tremendous spirit to get this over with. After the meeting with the world leaders, I spoke with the governors of our 50 states and territories. Our team has been in constant communication with the governors, and we had a terrific meeting. Somebody in the fake news said that one of the governors said, "Oh, we need Tom Brady." I said, "Yeah." He meant that in a positive way. He said, "We need Tom Brady. We're going to do great." And he meant it very positively, but they took it differently. They think Tom Brady should be leading the effort. That's only fake news, and I like Tom Brady. Spoke to him the other day. He's a great guy. Republicans in the Senate for unanimously passing the largest financial relief package in American history, 96-0. And I have to say it's the largest by far. And I'm profoundly grateful that both.
I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. The president is going through the usual statement, talking about the meeting with the leaders of the other industrialized nations, and they had a meeting, I guess a virtual meeting with the nation's governors earlier in the day, and he's talking about the media, and he's made a couple of jokes about Tom Brady and what a great guy Tom Brady was, and he spoke to him earlier in the week, and were they going to let Tom Brady lead the effort? Again, it's just somewhat lighthearted in a time of serious news. And before we go back to it, I just wanted to read you this story. Union finds 39 million coronavirus masks in 5 days. This is from Fox Business. This was right after Bill Barr, the Attorney General, said that the Justice Department was going after hoarders of all medical supplies. And guess what happened? The Service Employees International Union / United Health Workers Union West said it has located 39 million N95 masks available for purchase in the last 5 days, and is now connecting health providers with the respective suppliers. What a coincidence. See, The Attorney General threatens criminal actions, and all of a sudden, 39 million new N95 masks turn up. SIEU members and healthcare workers all over California are desperate for more protection, so we are seeking out supplies wherever we can get them. The pinky ring boss of the union, Dave Regan, said, "We are continuing to turn over every rock to find more personal protective equipment to make sure healthcare workers who are heroically putting their own health on the line to care for patients can do their jobs." Isn't that wonderful?
We had a terrific meeting. Somebody in the fake news said that one of the governors said, "Oh, we need Tom Brady." I said, "Yeah." He meant that in a positive way. He said, "We need Tom Brady. We're going to do great." And he meant it very positively, but they took it differently. They think Tom Brady should be leading the effort. That's only fake news, and I like Tom Brady. Spoke to him the other day. He's a great guy.
Well, we just threw that in. I think that was an aside, but that's what he said. He was bantering, or maybe not so bantering, with the fake news media at the White House. Let's go back to the live press conference.
Accomplish what we want to accomplish. As of today, FEMA has shipped over 9 million N95 masks, 20 million face masks, 3.1 million face shields, nearly 6,000 ventilators, 2.6 million gowns, 14.6 million gloves, and we're sending more every day, and we've got tremendous amounts of equipment coming in. A lot of great companies are making equipment right now. The ventilators, obviously, they take a little longer to make, but we have a lot of companies making them, and we're going to be in great shape. We took over an empty shelf. We took over the place in a lot of ways. As you know, the testing is going very, very well. And that was obsolete and broken, and we fixed it, and it's been going really good. And I think, very importantly, the stockpile, we're really filling it up, and we fill it up rapidly, but we get it out. Sometimes we have it sent directly to the states instead. And again, the state has to be doing this kind of a thing also. We're sort of we look from behind a little bit, and we look at how are they doing, and if they need help, we do it. But it's their first responsibility. Sometimes they just can't get it, but we load it up and we send it out. But if we can, we have it sent directly to the state. We want it to go directly to the point where we want it. I can now announce something that I think is incredible, what they've done in the Navy, because the incredible naval hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, which is incredible, actually, when you see it inside, will be underway to New York City on Saturday. So it's going to be leaving on Saturday rather than 3 weeks from now. And they did the maintenance quickly, and it was going to be there for quite a while longer, another 3 or 4 weeks. And it should be arriving. I told the governor 20 minutes ago, Governor Cuomo, that the ship will be arriving at New York Harbor on Monday. I think I'm going to go out and I'll kiss it goodbye. I'll go to, it's in Virginia, as you know, and I will go and we'll be waving together because I suspect the media will be following. John, are you going to be following? Maybe. You never know, huh?
It's a very important vessel.
Great ship. It's a great vessel, is right. So if you want to go, I'll see you there. And if you don't, that's okay. After being fully loaded with medical supplies, it's loaded up to the top. And it's over at the Norfolk Naval Base. That's where it departs. It is expected then to, we're saving about 3 to 4 weeks by the incredible work done by the Navy. And I actually look forward to Saturday to see it go. The ship will arrive, and I believe it's going to get a little bit of a ceremony. It's just something very beautiful about it. It's an incredible piece of work. Going to be landing at Pier 90 in Manhattan to provide hospital surge capacity for the New York metropolitan area. So it's a surge capacity. They may use it for this, or they may have other people coming in from hospitals unrelated to the virus, and then they'll use those hospitals on land. They'll use those hospitals for the virus, but we'll see how they do it. They could do it either way, one way or the other, whichever one is best. But it could be, because it's set up so well for a regular hospital, that they may take people out of hospitals and then use those rooms for the virus. The National Institute of Health and the private sector, working closely with the FDA, continue to collaborate to discover and test treatments and therapies that can effectively reduce the duration and symptoms of the virus and very much help people to recover. And I'm firmly committed to bringing these treatments to market very quickly. We have a lot of tests going on with regard to different medicines, and I hope we get lucky. I hope we hit. A lot of talented scientists and doctors are working on therapeutics, a cure, vaccines. I think we're doing very well. Tony may speak to that a little bit later, but I think we're doing very well with regard to the vaccines. I think we're doing well with regard to a lot of the things I just mentioned, but we'll have to see what happens. We're going to know fairly soon about a lot of them. But it's very advanced, and the vaccines are very advanced prior to, as you know, a fairly reasonably long test period of, in that case, over a year. Every American should be proud of the incredible spirit our country has brought to this effort. It's been incredible. Citizens from all walks of life have come together to turn the tide in this battle. We're witnessing the extraordinary power of American unity like a lot of people have never seen. Even getting a vote. You're talking about trillions of dollars and you get a vote of 96 to nothing. We are waging war on this virus using every financial, scientific, medical, pharmaceutical, and military resource to halt its spread and protect our citizens. I want to express our tremendous thanks to the American people for continuing to practice social distancing like you people are practicing right here. I don't know, this room may never be the same. Maintaining good hygiene and follow government guidelines. Vice President Pence lifts up that card every time. And it's not very complicated, but hopefully you can do that. And your commitment will make all the difference in the world. And that's one of the big ones will be, for a while, stay home. Just relax, stay home. Making a lot of progress. As we continue to gather more information and accelerate the testing, where we're doing record numbers of tests now, far more than any other country has done. I told you yesterday, 8 days here, because you heard so much about South Korea. The media kept talking about South Korea, South Korea. We have a great relationship with President Moon in South Korea. But when I hear so much about South Korea, so in 8 days, we do more testing than they did in 8 weeks. And it's a very highly sophisticated test. We'll be able to deploy even more data-driven and targeted approaches to slow the ultimately, it's a very devastating thing, but we will vanquish this virus, and it's a lot of progress has been made. That's why earlier today I sent a letter to America's governors describing how we will be using the data to update existing guidance on social distancing, which will be developed in close coordination with our nation's public health officials and scientists. Because of the sacrifices of our great doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals, the brilliance of our scientists and researchers, and the goodness and generosity of our people, I know that we will achieve victory and quickly return to the path of exceptional health, safety, and prosperity for all of our citizens. We have to get back to work. Our people want to work. They want to go back. They have to go back. And we're going to be talking about dates. We're going to be talking with a lot of great professionals. But this is a country that was built on getting it done. And our people want to go back to work. I'm hearing it loud and clear from everybody. So we'll see what happens. We're going to have a lot more information early next week, and we'll be reporting that back. But I just want to leave it with you. We have to go back. This is the United States of America. They don't want to sit around and wait, and they'll be practicing. And by the way, a lot of people misinterpret when I say go back. They're going to be practicing as much as you can, social distancing and washing your hands and not shaking hands and all of the things that we talk about so much, but they have to go back to work. Our country has to go back. Our country is based on that. And I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. A lot of progress is made, but we got to go back to work. We may take sections of our country, we may take large sections of our country that aren't so seriously affected, and we may do it that way, but we've got to start the process pretty soon. So we'll be talking to you a little bit more about that next week. And with that, if you have any questions, you could ask, and then I'm going to have Vice President stay behind, and he's going to take questions and also introduce some of the people. You could ask them some questions. John, please.
Mr. President, but the unemployment numbers out today, 3.3 million. Yeah. I take it not a surprise.
No.
But still a staggering number. I wonder about your perspective on that.
Well, it's nobody's fault. Certainly not in this country. Nobody's fault. We got very lucky when we made a decision not to allow people in from China at a very early date. I say that because some people don't want to accept it, but this was a great decision made by our country. Or there's the numbers that you're talking about. We're a big country. That'd be far greater, far bigger. So when I heard the number, I heard it could be 6 million, could be 7 million. It's 3.3 or 3.2. But it's a lot of jobs. But I think we'll come back very strong. The sooner we get back to work, every day that we stay out, it gets harder to bring it back very quickly. And our people don't want to stay out. So I know those numbers, John, but I think you'll see a very fast turnaround once we have a victory over the hidden enemy, as I say. It's a hidden enemy. Sometimes a hidden enemy is a lot tougher than somebody that stares you in the face, right? So we'll see what happens. But, they're fully expected numbers, at least. Steve, please.
U.S. proposal to deploy some troops along the Canadian border.
Yeah.
And Prime Minister Trudeau was complaining about that. Why is that necessary?
Well, we have very strong deployments on the southern border, as you know, with Mexico, and we had some troops up in Canada, but I'll find out about that. I guess it's equal justice to a certain extent. But in Canada, we do have troops along the border. We have a lot of things coming in from Canada. We have trade, some illegal trade that we don't like. We have very strong sanctions on some. We have very strong tariffs on dumping steel.
Let's take a break.
And we don't like steel coming through our border.
We'll come
that's
right
been
back.
dumped.
As you heard, he's going to go to Norfolk to see off the USNS Nurse on Saturday morning. So now all the people have been complaining that he hasn't been out to see any first responders or visited any sites. They will now be complaining that he's going to Norfolk and they couldn't get the ship out of port to go to New York, the hospital ship. That's where it's headed. So this is the way it always goes with him. But he seems in good spirits. We'll come back in a moment and we'll take some more of the press conference as long as he's taking questions. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
She tonight, I believe, we'll have a good conversation. But you just don't know, what are the numbers? But I think it's a tribute to the testing. We're testing tremendous numbers of people. And every day, the way the system works, and I want to thank especially Roche has been fantastic, great company. They've done a tremendous amount. Deborah was telling me before that they've really stepped up to the plate and done great, as have other of the companies, but it seems that they're really doing it particularly well. So, we'll see what happens there, but it's a tribute to the amount of testing that we're doing. We're doing tremendous testing, and I'm sure you're not able to tell what China is testing or not testing. I think that's a little hard.
Yeah, Mr. President, on the 3.3 jobless claims, you just suggested it could 6 to 7 million. A lot of those workers.
No, I didn't say that. No, you're wrong. I didn't say that. I said some people were projecting that it would be 6 or 7, and it's, I believe, 3.3.
Came in at 3.3. Yeah. Millions of Americans out of work. Some of them will be losing their insurance. What's your plan to make sure, through no fault of your own, as you just mentioned, that they stay insured? Are you willing to plus up the subsidies for some of the exchanges under Obamacare, expand Medicaid? What's being considered?
So, well, the things I just read to you are being considered, and other things are being considered. People are going to be getting big checks, and it's not their fault. What happened to them is not their fault. So we're doing a lot of different things on health insurance. We have meetings on it today. We're taking care of our people. This is not their fault, what happened, and we're taking care. We're starting off by sending them very big checks. I think for a family of four, it's about $3,000. And we're taking care of our people. We're taking care of our workers. This was not, as I say, this was not a financial crisis. This was a health crisis, a medical crisis. We're going to take care of our people. Please. Yeah. Please.
The National Restaurant Association came out with a survey this morning saying that 3% of all restaurants in this country have shuttered for good in the past 3 weeks. And the projection is that 11% more are going to close in the next 30 days. So what do you say to a restaurant owner who is looking at his sheets and thinks he has to close within the next 30 days?
Well, I know the business very well. I understand the restaurant business. It's a very delicate business. It's a business that it's not easy. I always say in a restaurant business, you can serve 30 great meals to a person or a family, and they love it. One bad meal, number 31, they never come back again. It's a very tough business, but they're great people that run restaurants. And I've heard 3% could be lost, and you could go as high as 10 or 11%, but they'll all come back in one form or another. It might be a different restaurant, but it's going to be a great business for a lot of people. And we're making it easy for people to look what we're doing in terms of loans, what we're doing in terms of salaries. They'll all come back. It may not be the same restaurant, may not be the same ownership, but they'll all be back. Yes, sir, please.
So you mentioned the pledges from American companies to provide supplies, but does it get, as we top 81,000 cases in the U.S., does it make sense to relook at using the Defense Production Act?
Well, I talked about the Defense Production Act a lot, and I've enacted it. I have it. I can do it with. And we have actually used it on 2 minor occasions, and then we could withdraw it. But for the most part, the companies, we don't need it. We say we need this, and they say, don't bother, we're going to do it. I mean, we're dealing with Ford, General Motors, 3M. We're dealing with great companies. They want to do this. They're doing things that frankly, they don't need somebody to walk over there with a hammer and say, do it. They are getting it done. They're making tremendous amounts of equipment, tremendous amounts. And when this is over, we're going to be fully stockpiled, which they would have never been except for a circumstance. This was something that nobody has ever thought could happen to this country. I'm not even blaming. Look, we inherited a broken situation, but I don't totally blame the people that were before me and this administration. Nobody would have ever thought a thing like this could have happened. But
this is Jay in Hingham, Massachusetts.
This is Gloria from Haverhill, Mass.
Hi, this is Joe from Howie in the Hills, Florida, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
(844) 500-4242. That's the toll-free number. We'll take some calls here. The press conference is going on, and it's not as confrontational today. The questions are fairly legitimate. I mean, you got one question, three from some guy said 3% of all restaurants are already closed and aren't coming back. And what do you tell people? I mean, what is he supposed to tell them? I mean, he didn't shut these restaurants down. I mean, and he said restaurants, he said, I understand the restaurant business. It's very fragile. That was the word he used. And he said, it's tough. And, some of these restaurants may not come back, but something else will come back. That's the nature of it. I'm sorry about restaurants going out of business. I'm sorry about anything going out of business. And so was he. I mean, he was basing his reelection on the economy being in stellar condition. I still think it'll come back quickly, but I mean, there's some things you can't do anything about, and this is one of them. I mean, I guess it was a legit question, but what is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to say?
Well, I know the business very well. I understand the restaurant business. It's a very delicate business. It's a business that it's not easy. I always say in a restaurant business, you can serve 30 great meals to a person or a family, and they love it. One bad meal, number 31, they never come back again. It's a very tough business, but they're great people that run restaurants. And I've heard 3% could be lost, and you could go as high as 10 or 11%, but they'll all come back in one form or another. It might be a different restaurant, but it's going to be a great business for a lot of people. And we're making it easy for people to look what we're doing in terms of loans, what we're doing in terms of salaries. They'll all come back. It may not be the same restaurant, may not be the same ownership, but they'll all be back.
Yeah. So there was a study out of the United Kingdom earlier, and they were predicting 500,000 deaths, 500,000 deaths in the British Isles. And now it's from the Imperial College. And so now the guy who was the leader of putting this study together tested positive himself for COVID-19. But he now says that the UK should have enough intensive care unit beds, and that the coronavirus will probably kill not 500,000, but under 20,000 people. And more than half of them would have died by the end of the year in any case, because they were so old and sick. It's quite a transformation. I wonder if this will get covered on the mainstream media tonight. I'm Howie Carr.
Though our hospitals remain our first line of defense, local urgent care facilities
now maybe
are also
we'll take a piece. It's all fully ready. We're ready to go. But if we didn't do that, we'd end up with no airlines, and we can't do that. The airline business is very vital to our country. It's a tough business. We have to understand that. So I could tell you other businesses that are different kinds of business. They're very good businesses, but airlines have always been very, very tough. Please.
Mr. President.
Yeah, I didn't call you. I called this gentleman.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. On Monday,
Who are you with?
did you speak with?
Who are you with?
I'm with Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Bloomberg. It's Mario Park.
How's Michael doing? Good.
Mr. President, on Monday, did you speak with Chinese President Xi before you urged Americans to not blame Asian Americans for the coronavirus? We noticed that you backed off of that language. I know you're speaking with him.
No, I didn't. I'm speaking to him tonight. It's scheduled to go tonight. I'll have a call with President Xi of China. Very good relationship. No, I didn't like when they came up, and it wasn't him. Somebody at a lower level, mid-level, we found out pretty much. But they made a statement that our soldiers brought it into China. No, it came from China. And, we just signed a very big deal with China. They're paying us a lot of money in tariffs and other things. They never paid us 10 cents. Look, China has taken advantage of the United States until I came here with Sleepy Joe Biden and Obama and Bush and everybody else. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming everybody. They were allowed to $500 billion a year they were taking out. We had trade deficits that were so large, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we've changed it. Look, now we're taking in billions of dollars, and we gave some to our farmers because China, they targeted our farmers, and our farmers are very happy. And our farmers got through a very rough period because of what I was able to do. Took the money from China and gave it to the farmers, and we had plenty left over after that. Now we're going into a phase 2 negotiation with China, but we're getting 25% on $250 billion, and then we're getting a lot on money after that. So we've never had a deal with China. China took advantage of the United States. And you know what? I don't blame China for that. I blame the people that were right here because they should have never allowed it to happen. But the relationship with China has been a very good one. John?
Mr. President, did President Xi ask you to calm that language down or to not use that?
He never asked me to comment down. Somebody might have spoken to somebody, but nobody spoke to me about it. I think it was time, though, because, I talk about the Chinese virus, and I mean it. That's where it came from. If you look at Ebola, if you look at Lyme, right, Lyme, Connecticut, you look at all these different horrible diseases, they seem to come with the name with the location. And this was the Chinese virus. But I don't have to say it if they feel so strongly about it. We'll see. But, we have... We just made a great deal with China, great hopefully for both parties, but we made a deal with China and we're going to do another one, it looks like. They want to do it very badly. maybe they'll want to wait, like Iran. They want to wait to see whether or not Trump gets beaten in the election, because would they love to negotiate with Biden or somebody else other than me would love it? That's their best dream in the world. So many others. So there are some that maybe are, waiting till after November 3rd, the election day. But I think we're doing very well. It would be sad if we blew all of the advantages that we have right now, because we've made unbelievable trade deals, whether it's Mexico, Canada, Japan, South Korea, China, and others. We have changed the whole thing around. Please.
Mr. President, earlier today, you sent a notification letter to the nation's governors saying that you will soon come out with new guidelines about social distancing and other items. Do you have any data yet to suggest which specific areas of the country may have their guidelines relaxed? Yeah. Which areas of the country may have their guidelines?
I think Deborah will talk to you about that, and Tony in a few minutes. But I think we'll start talking about that because we have to open up. We can't say, let's close. People don't want to close, John. I say it again and again. The reason I do, because I want you to report it eventually. Go ahead, Steve.
How would that work without widespread
Go ahead, Steve.
testing that was president?
From President Xi tonight, what do you want to talk to him about?
Yeah, it's his call. I mean, I'll talk to him whatever he wants to. I mean, we'll have, I think, a very fruitful call. We'll have a good call tonight at 9:00, please.
Is it about the virus also?
Yes, in the back. We'll be talking about that. Yeah, we'll be talking about the virus.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the back first, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Despite the jobless claim numbers today, the market rallied again. It's up over 4,000 points the last 3 days.
Yeah,
Working.
record.
Yeah, the largest chart since 1931. Do you think that the economic uncertainty has passed?
No, not yet. It hasn't passed, but it's come a long way. I think they think we're doing a really good job in terms of running this whole situation having to do with the virus. I think they feel that. I think they feel the administration, myself and the administration, are doing a good job with keeping, very importantly, people informed, because it was a great fear, and a lot of good things are happening. The mortality rate is at in my opinion, you'll have to speak to Deborah, Tony, all of the others, but in my opinion, it's way, way down. And that takes a lot of fear out. It's one thing to have it. It's another thing to die. When I first got involved, I was being told numbers that were much, much higher than the number that seems to be. And remember that people that have it, many people have it. I just spoke to 2 people. They had it. They never went to a doctor. They had it, absolutely had it, but they never went to a doctor. They never went to anything. They didn't report it. You have thousands and hundreds of thousands of cases like that. So you have to add that to the caseload also. And the people that actually die, that percentage is a much lower percentage than I ever thought. That's one of the reasons I say, look, we're going to beat this and we're going to get back to work. Yes, please.
Administration today, the DOJ announced charges against Nicolas Maduro for drug trafficking. They've designated him as a narco-terrorist. It's also expected that Venezuela is going to get hit really hard by the coronavirus. Does the administration see this as a weak point for the Maduro regime?
No. We don't look at a weak point. This is a serious problem for over 150 nations, the virus. I would say this, Maduro and Venezuela, we're watching it very closely. We'll see what happens. But that is correct. Those charges were made. Please.
You said a moment ago that you used the Defense Production Act on 2 minor occasions.
Yeah.
What were those?
We will give you that notification. We'll let you know. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Can I follow up on John's question about the classifying for counties? A lot of these areas have not done testing yet. Is it safe to say that the current guidelines will be extended into next week? Will you wait to change those guidelines until you have the data yet?
I want those guidelines to go even when we're open and fully operational. And frankly, much of the guidelines, like shaking hands, maybe people aren't going to be shaking hands anymore. Tony had mentioned to me, Tony Fauci, the other day, that I don't think he would be too upset with the concept of not shaking hands. He was saying that the flu would cut down, the regular flu would be cut down by quite a bit if we didn't do that, if we didn't shake hands. The regular flu, of which, you have a lot of deaths and a lot of problems with that too. So I think a lot of great things are going to, when we're open, just to finish, when we're open, as soon as we open, that doesn't mean you're going to stop with the guidelines. You'll still try and distance yourself. Maybe not to the same extent because you have to lead a life. But I think the time is coming. How about one more question? Go ahead, in the back, please.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Go ahead,
President.
please.
I also have two questions because I'm asking on behalf of foreign press as well. So one domestic question, one international. Domestically, you just tweeted the other day saying that it's very important that we totally protect Asian Americans.
Yes, I do. Very important to me.
But still millions.
Very important to me. We have to protect our Asian Americans. It's a very important. That was a very important tweet to me because I didn't like things that I was hearing. Please go ahead.
Well, what's the concrete measure that you're taking to combat the hate crimes against Asians?
Well, I don't know. All I know is this. Asian Americans in our country are doing fantastically well. I'm very close to them, as you know, and they're doing fantastically well. And I think they appreciate the job we're doing. But I did want to put that statement out, the social media statement, because to me, Asian Americans are a great part of our country. Thank you all very much. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
On your guidance, how does that work, Mr. President? Will people be able to go from county to county if it's high risk and low risk?
Okay. There are people in your profession that write fake news. You do.
Boom, roasted.
She does.
Boom, roasted.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Yeah, he went after the news media, making the point that, we'd like to see him do poorly in the election. And so we're rooting against him in this crisis. And that's so ridiculous.
It's some 60% approval.
Howie Carr.
Somebody who's making $12 an hour with the $600 on top of their regular unemployment check might be making a few bucks more for 4 months. Oh, my word. Will the universe survive?
We want to make sure that you are whole in unemployment, not that you get a raise because of the coronavirus. And so that would be unfair to all Americans who are working. And we believe in this country in the dignity in work.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Important legislation. We're very proud product. We did jujitsu on it, the government production office, defense production office, testing, mask, ventilators.
Marsha.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. We'll take a lot of calls this hour. The president just wrapped up. He didn't call on any of the usual suspects. I don't even know who those Harridans are that have been asking him all these. What?
Howie, I noticed the same thing, and I was very curious. And I said to Jared, I think I know who the reporter was, who he was ignoring. So I went on Twitter and I typed in her name, and sure enough, it was Caitlin Collins from CNN. She's a brunette. I think she'd been banned from the White House before for being annoying towards the president. But it's funny because if you go on Twitter, everyone who likes Trump is tweeting, haha, no fake news today. He's ignoring you. And then all of the Trump deranged people are writing, keep it up, girl. He's afraid of you. He's scared. Why is he so scared to call on Caitlin Collins? I don't see him as scared.
What's the point? I mean, if you see some drunk who harasses you as you walk down the street in your neighborhood and asks you for a handout or insults you, I mean, generally speaking, you walk to the other side of the street. You cross the street to get away from that person, right? I mean, this is the role she has in the White House right now. She's not a reporter, she's a heckler.
And I think he's starting to figure out finally, which is great, is that if you do call on them, no matter what kind of answer you give to their question, they're just going to take that question and frame themselves as heroes and try to become viral on Twitter. So it's not even about him. And I think it's happened enough times with Jim Acosta and Peter Alexander where he's just like, why am I even bothering calling on these people?
Right.
And then if you give him a good question, what I've been noticing, Howie, from watching these is if you give him a good question that's a fair question, he'll go back to you multiple times now that he has
like John Roberts, and again, I know he works for Fox News Channel, but the questions he asked today, and he got several of them, they were all legit. He said, what are the guidelines going to be for reopening some of these counties in off the coast? I mean, that's a good question.
I think this new setup, because there's less people in there, is making him able to see like, okay, this person sits here and with their network and they give me decent questions. So he kind of just starts pointing towards the back of the room.
On Monday, did you speak with
I'm with Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Bloomberg is Mario Park.
How's Michael doing? Good.
And then so then at the very end, we were listening during the news break at the top of the hour. At the very end, he takes a question from a foreign reporter in the back of the room because he wants to get, mix it up and get some of the international press. And so he thinks the guy's legit. And the first question is, what are you going to do about the hate crimes against Asian Americans? And then I have another foreign question. And so Trump just says, that was a very important tweet for me to say, that Asians have nothing to do with the flu. And that's it. And then he walks away. He wasn't in a particularly combative mood tonight. Like I said, Grace, he's going to be knocked around for going down to He announced he's going down to Norfolk, Virginia to say to see off the hospital ship that's going to New York City. So all the people who've been demanding that he get out of the Rose Garden strategy, the ivory tower, as Joe Lockhart called it, of the White House, they're going to be attacking him now for holding up the ship until Saturday morning so that he can see it off and have a photo op for the Sunday newspapers, right?
And Howie, I would agree with your assessment that he is less combative, but what I would say, because we all back here, we watch these things all the time, it is amazing to see how sober, and I don't mean it in the sober sense, but just he's got a whole new way about him now. He does seem a lot more presidential, and he seems very in control of these press conferences, more so than I would say ever before. And I think that not calling on people who he knows are going to screw him over shows a lot of discipline, because I think the old Trump just couldn't help himself and wants to see what they're going to say. And now he's worn out from it, and he's just saying, you know what? And I think it's great messaging, because people are watching these. And if you don't take those stupid questions and you start telling people what's really going on, they're gonna. It explains why his approval's so high.
And he didn't shy away from questions that were interesting, shall we say, like the question about, you've not been referring it to it as the Chinese virus. Have you been talking to the Chinese people about that, or did you talk to President Xi about that?
On Monday, did you speak with Chinese President Xi before you urged Americans to not blame Asian Americans for the coronavirus? We noticed that you backed off of that language. I know you're speaking with him.
No, I didn't. I'm speaking to him tonight. It's scheduled to go tonight. I'll have a call with President Xi of China. Very good relationship. No, I didn't like when they came up, and it wasn't him. Somebody at a lower level, mid-level, we found out pretty much. But they made a statement that our soldiers brought it into China. No, it came from China. And, we just signed a very big deal with China. They're paying us a lot of money in tariffs and other things. They never paid us 10 cents. Look, China has taken advantage of the United States until I came here with Sleepy Joe Biden and Obama and Bush and everybody else. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming everybody.
But that was not a fawning question, but it was a legit question, and he answered it.
And I think it also shows a lot of maturity for him to be able to say, I'm not going to say it anymore. He won't say he's sorry, because he shouldn't be sorry for saying it. Right. Like he explained, that's where it originated. That's why we call it based off its location. But he's also just saying to himself, listen, it's almost when people say, why did he have to tweet that? Why did he have to tweet that? He's looking a little bit at himself now and saying, if it's going to make people that upset, I just won't say it anymore. But he doesn't apologize either.
Yeah. So there's other breaking news tonight, other than the fact that Governor Sununu has sort of formalized the stay-at-home order, even though it's not mandatory. The former rep Katie Hill says she has been exposed to coronavirus. She's been exposed to a lot of things, hasn't she? In the last 6 months, I think she's got other viruses that she probably should be more concerned about than the coronavirus, and the kind that you can treat with penicillin, if you know what I mean. And so that's a breaking news story tonight. And also, one of the texters said, "Isn't it weird how the mainstream media seems so concerned with the restaurant industry, and they're not that concerned with, say, the shutdowns or the proposed shutdowns of, I don't know, coal fracking, guns. But, you know, as the texter obviously knows, not too many reporters or journalists, especially in the mainstream media, they don't go to too many gun ranges, let alone coal mines or hydraulic fracking sites in Pennsylvania or North Dakota. All right, we're going to take a lot of calls in this hour because we haven't taken many all day. 844-500-4242. And if the press briefing continues now without the president, I guess Mike Pence and Fauci and all the rest are running the press conference. What's going on now? If it gets good, we'll dip back into it. But otherwise, we're going to take a lot of phone calls in this hour. 844-500-4242. You've been hearing me talk about super beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why super beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of super beets are incredible. They give you so much energy, and you need it in this time. It's a time of great concern about your health and maybe about your income, your family's well-being, and it wears you down. So you need a little pick-me-up. Take a little spoonful of super beets in the morning. Take one after lunch when you're starting to get a little drowsy, and it's just great. Put a little bit in water or just put it under your tongue. It's great. It really gives you a good pick-me-up. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind super beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow. Better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout your body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But super beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared with other beet powders. Just one scoop of super beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. And the science team behind super beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. This level of research is unheard of in the nutrition category. These are just some of the reasons why I love super beets and why it's worked for me and for Grace and for Taylor. To try super beets risk-free for 90 days, visit www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie and get a free 30-day supply, free shipping, and free nitric oxide strips to test your nitric oxide levels with your first purchase. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone, Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Salt Air Inn Bed and Breakfast in Bar Harbor, Maine, just steps away from Acadia National Park. Call Matt or Christy at 207-288-2882. That's 207-288-2882.
Mike Bloomberg is spending millions of dollars on all of his campaign ads, but we put together some of our favorite Bloomberg clips, and guess what, Mike? This one's totally free.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little. To be a farmer, it's a process. So you dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could learn that.
Donald Trump is the world's biggest schoolyard bully.
Big gay ice cream is the best. The Communist Party wants to stay in power in China, and they listen to the public. When the public says, I can't breathe the air, Xi Jinping is not a dictator. He has to satisfy his constituents, or he's not going to survive.
He's not a dictator?
No, he has a constituency to answer to.
I'm ready to get to work, so let's get it on.
I would be 79 years old when I took office. To start a 4-year job, maybe an 8-year job at age 79 may not be the smartest thing to do.
Why did you say what you said in that 2015 speech?
Why is finding promo codes that actually work so hard? With Honey, it doesn't have to be. Honey is the free online shipping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes so you don't have to search for one yourself. No more Googling promo codes and only finding expired ones. No more digging in the dark corners of the internet, desperately looking for a discount. Just download Honey to your computer and head to one of your favorite shopping sites like Walmart, Home Depot, eBay, Target, etc. When you check out, click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey has over 100,000 5-star reviews. That's a lot. So you know it must be good. In fact, Honey's found over $2 billion in savings for its nearly 20 million members. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Download Honey on your computer for free at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
Howie, we do have some Sununu sound if you want it.
Oh, we do? Okay, good. Okay.
From Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Hey, I'm Angela from Brewster on the Cape, and this is the one and the only Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Boomer Naturals. We sold out of the cheap bastard deal fast yesterday, but you can still save big today. For select doctor-formulated natural CB5 products that you purchase, you will receive 2 4-ounce hand sanitizers and a $20 value mini pain relief roll-on free. Go to HowieCarrshow.com and click on the Boomer banner at the top of the page to get your special deals. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
If you could listen to only one of these songs for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Imagine by John Lennon or We Are the World by USA for Africa?
How about being keel-hauled along a ship? Is that an option?
We didn't come up with that in time, no.
I'll take Imagine then.
67% would rather listen to John Lennon.
Okay. We told you earlier about this woman in Pennsylvania who coughed all over produce and meat and bakery section of a small local supermarket and caused $35,000 worth of damage in a very twisted prank, as the police said. She's been arrested now. Her name is Margaret Circo, Cirko. She's been charged this afternoon with, among other things, threatening to use a weapon of mass destruction, i.e. her cough, making terrorist threats, and disorderly conduct, they announced. They still don't know if she has coronavirus, but they're going to test her. Bail was set at $50,000. Good. And she was transported to the local correctional facility. That's good. I like that. I'm in favor of that. Do we have some sound from Governor Sununu at his press conference today in Concord?
Today, I'm announcing 3 significant actions in our continued response to COVID-19 that will be officially released tomorrow morning. First, the state of New Hampshire will be issuing a stay-at-home order and directing all non-essential businesses that have not already voluntarily closed to end in-person and public interacting operations by midnight, Friday, March 27th. Over the past 24 hours, we've received calls and requests for a mandatory shelter in place. This is not a shelter in place.
Good.
We are not closing down transportation. I'm not closing our borders, no one will be prevented from leaving their home. I want to be clear. No governor can shut down their border. No governor can prohibit another state's residents from entering their state.
Thank you.
But in taking these actions, we're aligning with our regional partners who have issued similar orders. We all know that New Hampshire and Massachusetts are closely intertwined. Our businesses, our families, our communities. And in an effort to be consistent across the board, we're taking today's steps to align with our regional partners.
Yeah, the people down here are saying, why doesn't Governor DeSantis stop the flights coming in from New York? Because, all these people are fleeing. Not all of them are going to the Hamptons. Not all of them are going to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or New Hampshire. most of them, more of them, are thousands every day are flying down here at the South Florida and all over Florida. But you can't stop. It's a country. I mean, it's just a state. One state can't board off the walls of the state and prevent other Americans from coming in. And he understands that. I'm glad to know that he does. 844-500-4242. Clint, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Clint.
Hi, Howie. I'm calling from Portland, Maine.
Yes.
Yeah, Howie, I got drafted in 1965.
Yes.
I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, domestic and foreign. I'm voting for President Trump in November because I can smell domestic enemies, a.k.a. Pelosi and company.
Yeah, that's there. You know, she would say she's praying for the president, but I would say she's praying for him, Preying. She's trying to prey on him. Whatever happened to the loyal opposition, Clint? When you took that oath, they called the opposition party the loyal opposition. I don't see too much loyalty today. Do you?
None.
Yeah.
No,
they want him down, and again, you see the glee, and they're gleeful that this. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. They say that, oh, we're so concerned about the people, but as Kevin McCarthy said, they could have had this bill passed on Sunday. It's Thursday. They're not gonna have a vote today. They're gonna have a vote tomorrow. So, maybe they wanted to, get the money for Planned Parenthood or impose voter fraud, make it easier to commit voter fraud through ballot harvesting and all the other methods, same-day registration. But are they helping out those 3.3 million Americans that they claim so much to care about that have filed for unemployment this week? I don't think so. They don't care. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Howie, thanks for taking the call. I called last week, and I just wanted to follow up with you on the economic impact of this thing. I think the president's finally getting it right now with trying to restart the thing, because they can print as much money as they want and hand out as much money, but the velocity of money's got to turn over. And if it doesn't, the money's sort of going to go to waste. So I think it's the most important thing is we're going to take a big hit, but if we don't restart the economy, it's going to get a lot worse.
I agree. He's got to get it going. And I think any sane person, even a Democrat, has to understand that, don't they, John?
Yeah, I think so. And one other thing I want to mention to you, it's a tangent from this, but the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center put a study out. I sent this up to Grace last week, and I just wanted to let you know. They tested 950 people randomly, not knowing they were going in for a test. It was a medical experiment. Only 5 people had the virus out of 950.
Yeah, and again, this new study that came out, this guy, he's a respected epidemiologist in Britain. He was predicting 500,000 deaths. Now he's predicting under 20,000. I'm Howie Carr.
Russell, please tell us about Boomer Naturals and how your products can help us.
Thanks, Howie. Boomer Naturals is a leading natural wellness company with patent-pending supplements that help boost our immune systems and help us with pain, inflammation, stress, anxiety, and sleep issues for people and our pets. Our ingredients are FDA safe and compliant and have been developed by our top wellness board, including a neurosurgeon, surgeon, internist, psychiatrist, and research scientist.
Thank you, Russell. We sure can use the help all your natural products provide. Do you have a special offer for our listeners?
Yes, Howie, we do. When they use the promotional code Howie, we will send 2 hand sanitizers and a $20 pain roll-on for free with every item they purchase off the Howie Carr page off our site. And there are no limits to this special offer. To get this offer, go to boomernaturals.com and click the link to the Howie Carr page. That is boomernaturals.com. We really look forward to helping everyone to stay strong and healthy.
Remember to go to boomernaturals.com to get this special offer. We have posted links on our website as well. Make sure to use promo code Howie at checkout.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moon bats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Did you already blow it on your New Year's resolution? Didn't stick to that trendy new diet plan? Stop the roller coaster and get the weight off for good. People still say to me, wow, Howie, you look really great with all that weight off. But it's a lot more than looking better. It really is about feeling better, too. For me, it's about not having to wear a CPAP mask in order to sleep through the night. I'm able to go on bike rides every day. Sometimes I go on 2 or 3. I have much lower blood pressure, a lot more energy. I still eat what I want to eat, but unlike before the sleeve, now I don't overeat. Get the weight off for good. Call Newton Wellesley Weight Loss Center. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. Don't procrastinate any longer. Whatever your age, whatever your gender, do it. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were 2. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy now.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I had to look up a picture of this woman who was coughing at the supermarket, and they had to destroy $35,000 worth of food after she did it, laughing and smiling and spitting and saying, I have COVID-19 and now you're going to have it too. Well, the verdict is in. Guilty as charged. But I tweeted out the entire story. It's
barbaric.
It's really, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth reading during the dinner hour, maybe after you finish dinner. She continued her coughing routine throughout the store. This was after she coughed on all the produce. hitting up the meat department and grocery aisles. This is the Scranton newspaper. And again, you can read it if you follow me on Twitter. As an employee began following her and telling her to leave, police said. At one point, she forced herself to vomit on merchandise. When she finally did leave, Serco grabbed 12-pack of Yingling Lager, the local brew, and tried to flee, although employees grabbed it out of her hands prior to her exiting the store, police said. So she tried to shoplift the 12-pack. Is the 12-pack self-quarantining now for 15 days? Officials used surveillance video to identify the spitter as Serco, whom they knew from quote-unquote prior police contacts. The charges say. The charges say
she was a member of the frequent flyer club.
Oh God, she really does need to do some time. I think if I were a judge, I would say 3 years would be appropriate in this case.
But it looked like she was already doing some sort of time. Did you see the picture of her in the cruiser?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
She's wearing what appeers to be scrubs and just socks.
Oh, I don't see. I just see the headshot. She's wearing some kind of blue. Oh, are those blue those scrubs? That blue outfit she's wearing?
Yep, blue scrubs, orange socks, and a brown belt.
She doesn't look like she's all there. There's no question about that. But anyway, it's this is. Why would you do something like this? I mean, I understand you rob a bank, you need the money, right? That's where the money is. I understand. I get a lot of crimes, but this is really ridiculous, and this is not something that people are going to forget. This is one of those things people will remember you for. Okay, 844-500-4242. We're going to take some calls on this, and again, there was an interesting column today in the Wall Street Journal by Walter Russell Mead, who doesn't strike me as being a real fan of President Trump. I don't know who he is, but his writing doesn't indicate he's a fanboy, shall we say. But he's just saying, the column is, the coronavirus may make Trump stronger. Gallup finds 60% of voters approve of his handling of the crisis. As usual, the establishment is clueless. The thing about Trump, too, is he understands just how far he could push something and then he pulls back like he did today. He didn't, engage in his usual pointed banter with these fools from CNN. He just treated it very, very somberly today. It may have been the fact that the unemployment numbers came out, or maybe because he thinks that, things are to a degree looking up. He's got the hospital ship is going to New York City. The estimates of the impact of this pandemic are being revised downward. So it's obviously much too early to take a victory lap, but things seem to be looking better than they did a few days ago. But anyway, this column about Trump's popularity, and just as this guy says, Walter Russell Mead, a lot of it has to do with just the total distrust and distaste that over half of the American public has for the establishment, however you want to define the establishment. The sheer number of voters in open political rebellion against centrist politics is remarkable. Adding the Sanders base, which is roughly 13% of the national base, to the core Trump base of roughly 42%, around 55% of U.S. voters now support politicians who openly despise the central assumptions of the political establishment. There are solid and serious grounds for this deep alienation, for doubting the competence and wisdom of America's self-proclaimed expert class. What is so intelligent and enlightened, populists asked, about a foreign policy establishment that failed to perceive that U.S. trade policies were promoting the rise of a hostile communist superpower with the ability to disrupt supplies of essential goods in a national emergency? What competence have the military and political establishment shown in almost 2 decades of tactical success and strategic impotence in Afghanistan? What came of the intervention in Libya? On domestic policy, the criticism is equally trenchant and deeply felt. Higher education saddles students with increasing debt while leaving many graduates woefully unprepared for real good jobs in the real world. The centrist establishment has amassed unprecedented deficits without keeping roads, bridges, and pipes in good repair. It has weighted down cities and states with unmanageable levels of pension debt. That's another thing that Trump talked about when he was running for president. And I don't think people, the elite classes, the establishment really understood what he was getting, how he connected with the people. He would always talk. Trump 1 flew into LaGuardia, and he would always say, I get off of the plane at LaGuardia, and then I have to take the car into Manhattan, and it's like being on a third world highway. And it's so true. And it's not just New York. I mean, in Boston, those are third world roads, and we pay these amazing taxes, and the infrastructure, the roads get worse and worse and worse. And that was something that nobody else ever talked about. You ever hear any other candidate talk about how crappy the roads are? The culture of social promotion and participation trophies is not populist feel confined to U.S. kindergartens and elementary schools. Judging by performance, this is what I really like, what he wrote. They conclude that people rise in the American establishment by relentless virtue signaling, by going along with conventional wisdom, however foolish, and forgiving the failure of others and having their own overlooked in return. Can somebody say James Comey, John Brennan, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, et al. In the deep state? That's them. They're counting on a past. That's another reason to reelect Trump, because all these people have got to be thrown behind bars. They can exchange the time of day with Margaret Serko and talk about how much they wish they were out of prison, sipping on a Yingling lager. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Howie. I just wanted to say, Monty Walsh the other day said that Washington was giving mixed messages. Something like implying that Trump is giving mixed messages. Well, just a month or two ago, Monty was saying, he wants to make Massachusetts, Boston, a sanctuary city, all complaining about having a border wall. And all of a sudden now there's silence. Now that we have this virus and, protecting people from coming across the border unchecked, talk about mixed messages. They're just harassing this president. The average person who's out of a job right now knows that this guy is putting his heart and soul into fixing this problem. He could be on an island somewhere with a pina colada. He doesn't need this. He takes harassment for the media. Does the media know that people see that, the dishonesty, and they have plenty of time to observe it. Anybody has half a brain, is intellectually honest, can see the deceit, deception, harassment that's going on.
I agree, John. I mean, this is why they're getting record ratings for these press conferences. These are the kind of ratings they normally get these days with the fractured audience for the highest ranking shows on primetime network TV. And you're right. Everybody who watches it sees that these people are not men and women of good. These are not questions that are asked in good faith, in large part, are they? They're just trying to bait him. They're trying to set him up with a gotcha question, something that they can turn against him immediately or at a later date. And you're right. People get that.
The same people were saying it was Obama's economy a couple of months ago. Well, whose economy is it now? Whose economy is it now? Media, NSC, WBZ, all the different stations. I'll just name endless names of TV programs. I mean, whose economy is it now?
Right. I know. And all these people who were saying that it was xenophobic and racist to shut down the travel from China. Now they're saying he didn't do enough. But they were when he started taking preventive measures or precautionary measures, they were opposed to him. And I got criticized today on text because I pointed out that left-wing media outlets are saying that the Obama administration is the ones who made the decision not to restock the supply of N95 masks after they were exhausted during the swine flu epidemic 10 years ago. And Cuomo bears a large part of the responsibility for the lack of hospital beds because of his decisions that he made before Trump even became a candidate, let alone a president. He's been governor for so damn long because of the fact that they've driven out all the taxpayers out of the state of New York. They're all living down here in Florida. Thanks for the call, John. 844-500-4242. Meanwhile, the governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who's appeared in blackface and a Ku Klux Klan hood in his college yearbook photo, he has issued an executive order that makes it a criminal offense to hold a church service attended by more than 10 people. That's true. More than 10, it's a crime to have a church service with more than 10 people. What I want to know is, does this apply to cross burnings? Can you only have 9 people or less at a cross burning? And this would affect his friends, wouldn't it? This would affect him personally. Meanwhile, liquor sales in Virginia. This was a breaking news story in the Inside the Beltway today. Liquor sales in New Jersey, it's state-run liquor. Virginia, it's their state-run liquor stores up 60%. 60%. That's how they're sheltering in place. Though they only sell distilled spirits, no Yingling lager. You have to go. Margaret Serco, when she makes bail, will have to go to a supermarket in Virginia to buy her Yingling lager. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Best Western Adams Inn in Quincy. With beautiful views of Boston, waterfront restaurant, banquet facilities, and a great park and fly deal. Book direct by calling 617-328-1500. Mention Howie and save 10%.
Every 4 years, we as a nation agree to suspend disbelief and accept at face value the word of people who are both strangers to us and to the truth. We call this quadrennial descent into self-delusion the presidential election cycle, and we here at Matthews Brothers have lived through 41 of them over the past 166 years. Now, while we expect our trusted politicians to look us in the eyes and lie to us about their past behavior and future performance, we're less tolerant about performance claims when it comes to important stuff like medicine or windows. Unfortunately, stretching the truth is not limited to those seeking public office. We see it in the home improvement industry as well. In a desperate effort to make a sale, some companies will exaggerate, distort, hyperbolize, and otherwise try to mislead the public. That's why we here at Matthews Brothers love the interwebs and all the data they contain. We believe that the more accurate information a consumer has, the better equipped they are to make a choice, whether it's a window or even a president. You can learn more about the amazing performance of our authentic, wicked awesome Maine-made products, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves, and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases, people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years, and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth, or your teeth are discolored, or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts.
I get in trouble with some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me, it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
This is Alex from East Bridgewater, Mass.
This is Ann in Saco, Maine.
This is John Succo from Hampton, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
We cannot stress this enough. You should stay at your house unless absolutely necessary. Of course, it will not prevent you from leaving your home to go on a walk or when heading to the store or if you need groceries or simply going to work. But beyond essential necessities, you should not be leaving your home. These are tough decisions. They really are. But at the end of the day, we know that the worst may still be ahead of us. And I have the responsibility of doing what is right for the 1.35 million Granite Staters in our great state.
That's, of course, Governor Chris Sununu. And are you allowed to ride a bike on the bike path? Or only if you're under the age of 12? Let's play Grace's birthday tribute to Nancy Pelosi. Happy 80th birthday. Grace worked hard on this. It worked out. It worked out well. We'll take some calls after this. The Pelosi birthday tribute.
Happy birthday, you sly old fox.
Thank you. I'm not celebrating, though, until I can hug my grandbabies. I was waiting for that day. Hopefully that will be soon. But thank you.
Speech! 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 Speech!
Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity.
Hey, isn't it her birthday today?
What's that about? Why would they put it at the mercy of Dennis Nunes, who doesn't even read the memo, and Colin Kaepernick doing what he did? I pray for the President of the United States.
Make a wish and blow out the candles.
I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention. The Constitution does not say that a person can yell wolf in a crowded theater. I don't have time to follow people's tweets, Twitters, whatever, tweets. So children are scared. You're scaring the children of America. I mean, I just can't handle it. So every day I eat nails for breakfast, don a suit of armor, and go out there and fight for the kids. I don't hate anyone. I was raised in a way that is a heart full of love, and always prayed for the president. People all over the place are calling me, writing on the airports here, there. Thank you for saving America.
Thank you for saving America. Yes, indeed. People want to know if Governor Northam's ban applies to mosques as well. The way the regulation is written, it appears to apply to mosques, but I think it will be enforced in different ways for different groups of people. Kind of like, have you ever seen a Muslim bakery sued for refusing to bake a cake for a gay or a lesbian wedding? No, of course not. Different rules for different people. Justice is no longer blind in the United States of America. Just ask Governor Blackface. Todd, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Todd.
Great. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Howie. How's it going? I'm Todd Donahue from Lewiston, Maine. First of all, I'd like to say I love your show.
Thanks.
Second of all, I'm honored to be talking to another Trump supporter. I supported Trump from the get-go. I just wanted to make the American people that are listening to your show aware that America, the government, is about to hand out $2 trillion to the American people to help with this crisis. And there's one reason why we can afford that right now, and that's because Donald Trump has made the cuts that he stopped foreigners from coming. I mean, he's done, endless things.
I'm not sure we can afford it, Todd, but yeah, we can afford it more than we would have been able to afford it if Hillary Clinton had been president, because we would have been mired in in the economic malaise, a hangover from the Obama malaise. Thanks for the call, Todd. Eric, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Eric.
Hi, Howie. Just wanted to relay an anecdote. I retired 6 months ago, 38 years of doing international business. About 3 weeks ago, I thought I would try to do something to get some medical equipment. I've been scouring my contacts around the world. I finally found what I'm quite sure is a reliable source for N95 masks, 1 million of them.
Yeah.
I've been trying to contact every conceivable state government agency to contact me. I've gotten nowhere in 4 days.
I would say go to your state rep or your state senator. I don't know how much good it'll do, but that's where to start. Thanks for the call. See you tomorrow. I'm Howie Carr.
Though our hospitals remain our first line of defense, local urgent care facilities